6 News. 55 degrees at 5:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Tension remains high between members of the Chicago City Council and Mayor Brandon Johnson over the state of the school board. Multiple aldermen are working with the mayor's office to have the outgoing and incoming board members appear at a hearing before the city council.
It was said that the current members of the board, as well as those that you appointed, would come to the meeting. Now, I urge you, in your authority, as the person who's appointed the board members as well as the new board members.
You want me to exercise my authority?
Absolutely.
The council was supposed to hold a special meeting yesterday on Johnson's overhaul of the board, but it was canceled after no board members showed up. Johnson reacted following a tension-filled city council meeting.
As far as frustration or holding up the agenda of the people of Chicago, I'm going to continue to fight for working people in this city.
However, cooler heads prevailed, and that meeting will be held later in the month as an education committee hearing. Meantime, leaders for the Chicago Public Schools and the CTU are calling on Mayor Brandon Johnson to use TIF dollars to fill a budget deficit for the school district. TIF revenue is property tax dollars collected to spur economic development projects in several sections of the city. CTU believes that funding could generate the $1 billion needed for the school system. Chicago Alderman is using Robert's rules to protest Mayor Brandon Johnson's cancellation of the ShotSpotter contract. Alderman Anthony Beal used a parliamentary maneuver to stall each piece of legislation Brandon Johnson introduced yesterday.
You think I like deferring the stuff? But you know what I don't like? Canceling ShotSpotter when people are dying on the damn street.
Johnson dropped his plan to veto an ordinance the city council passed last month, giving Superintendent Larry Snelling power to sign a new contract with ShotSpotter. Johnson continues to argue the ordinance is illegal. Illinois is sending emergency workers to help with response and recovery to Hurricane Milton. Governor Pritzker announcing the workers will be deployed at the site of the storm. ComEd is also sending teams to Florida, and more than 80 Hoosiers serving on Indiana's Task Force 1 are on standby for Hurricane Milton relief work. They are in Georgia. Acero Charter School leaders are planning to shut down several schools in Chicago. The Charter School Network voting last night to shut down 7 of their 15 schools next year. The closures are planned to begin June of 2025. A man is charged after guns were found at the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. Police say SWAT teams responded to the River North skyscraper Tuesday night after a hotel worker saw firearms in a room. Officers did locate firearms and ammunition and a scope in a vehicle belonging to the suspect from Ohio. Brandon Peck was arrested on multiple gun charges. Jury selection continues in the federal bribery and racketeering trial of longtime Democrat Speaker of the House Michael Madigan. Yesterday, State Representative Patrick Windhorst, a law school grad, saying the jury pool has already been whittled down well.
From that 1,000 or so that they had sent summonses to, they condensed it down to under 200 who did not have some indication on where they were leaning with the case already.
Windhorst saying both sides already are looking for jurors sympathetic to their arguments.
The object of jury selection is to get a fair jury that will consider the evidence and determine the facts of the case to get a just result.
Yesterday, Judge John Robert Blakey did accept a waiver from Madigan's co-defendant Michael McLean, requesting that McLean not be required to be present for every moment of that trial. Embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is suing village trustees over a meeting this week. ABC 7 reports Henyard, along with trustees Andrew Holmes and Staley Brown, filed suit accusing the trustees of illegally holding a meeting. Bears remain focused on the city's lakefront as the location for the nearly $5 billion stadium development project. Team president and CEO Kevin Warren met with reporters Wednesday in London.
We have an opportunity in Chicago to really think creatively out of the box to say that we have a piece of land. I still argue it's the most beautiful piece of land in the world. with the lake, with the downtown, with the museum campuses, and what can we do to be able to pull all that together in and around the museum campuses, downtown, the lake, a football stadium, green space. And so I look at it as an opportunity.
Warren held a news conference at the team's hotel outside London ahead of Chicago's game Sunday against Jacksonville at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Chicago sports, well, the Bears in London getting a bit healthier. Just 2 players missed practice. Bear QB Caleb Williams spent yesterday enjoying his trip overseas.
There's a bunch of different cultures and things like that. I love food and all of that. I love architecture, and everywhere you go, there's a bunch of different things. And then it's just something I like to do in my off time, kind of reset, kind of get ready for, doing this for the whole rest of the year.
Williams is a bit of a travel savant. Already spent much time in places like Paris, southern France, and Monaco. Chicago goes up against Jacksonville again on Sunday morning. Bulls bringing in a little bit of backcourt competition, signing guard Javon Freeman-Liberty to a deal. Blackhawks gearing up for Game 2 of the season, visiting Winnipeg tomorrow. Playoff baseball, the Mets become the first team to make it out of the division series. New York taking down the Phillies 4-1. Dodgers force a decisive Game 5 Friday with an 8-0 win over the Padres. Pair of teams can advance to the championship series today. Tigers shut out Cleveland yesterday 3-0 and can put away their central rivals in Detroit. While the Yankees beat the Royals 3-2, but who cares about the Yankees? The News is a service of Revive Your Lawn and Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time and money and energy with permanent, programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by JeffBuysYourHouse.com, Papa Nicholas Coffee, the Alpha Wealth Group, Willows Academy, and by Senior Helpers of Naperville.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Dan Proft here for Northridge Prep. Northridge Prep is a great place to be a boy. What does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students. And when you combine that with an atmosphere that's fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. And the result is that the boys just love Northridge. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years. And one of the things that stands out to me is their commitment to partnering with parents. Now, you hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it. They built a community that really works together. Raising kids is difficult these days, and at Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house on Sunday, October 20th for boys in grades 6 through 12. Register today at northridgeprep.org. Again, that's Sunday, October 20th. Register at northridgeprep.org.
It is 5:11. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and this update on the roads, a service of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. It's been a year since the war started in Israel, and they need our support now more than ever. Go to support.ifcj.org. That's support.ifcj.org. Problems in Lockport this morning. Archer Avenue between 135th and the Veterans Memorial Toll Road is shut down completely because of a fatal motorcycle accident. Still being investigated. Again, that's Lockport this morning. Archer Avenue between 135th and the Veterans Memorial Toll. DuSable Lakeshore Drive resurfacing work until 6 a.m. has things jammed up southbound. Hollywood down to Lawrence. I-55 reported an accident this morning involving a couple of semis, at least one semi, according to reports on the scene. Northbounders on 55, you're jammed up US 6 all the way to I-80. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, it'll be a pleasant day. Our high today, 73. Clear tonight and a low 54. Breezy tomorrow morning, partly sunny, warmer day. The high jumping to 84. Partly sunny, a passing shower. Cooler on Saturday, the high 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
55 O'Hare, 59 Midway, 47 in Aurora and Morris, 51 in Lansing, 60 along the lakefront. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560. The Answer.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you'll destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Kamala Harris is stuck in a media doom loop. Her internal polling must be telling her she needs to do more interviews. But when she does, things only get worse for her. Take her 60 Minutes interview. What a debacle. Harris didn't fall back on her old standby about coming from a middle-class family, but she did dodge the tough questions again. Whether it was immigration or how she'd pay for her economic programs, no answers were forthcoming. A great portion of the television segment consisted of correspondent Bill Whitaker editorializing over film of the conversation, as if to translate what Harris was saying into plain language. In the outtakes, results were, if possible, even worse. Harris identified Iran as America's greatest threat, completely ignoring China. The takeaway was clear, and it was damning. Kamala Harris isn't ready for prime time. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the fallout from Hurricane Milton, although, I mean, this is not complete yet, but certainly it is moving rapidly across the state of Florida and out to the Atlantic. I'm happy to report on just a personal note that
Yes.
I basically dodged a bullet again. So 2 in 2 weeks. which is nice. So I appreciate everybody's concern and well wishes. I got basically just a little water in my garage, so nothing particularly compared to what happened to other people. Although if you are in Southwest Florida, I do know some people, and I'll be down there soon, that are looking to help out people who have issues, whatever it is, need stuff, need debris removed, need recommendations for contractors. So I know we have a lot of Chicagoland expats down in Southwest Florida, so feel free to call in and share real stories of concern, unlike mine. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line.
Yeah, I met a woman yesterday at the Elk Grove Pavilion. She's like, oh, we all live in Fort Myers. We listen to you guys every morning from Fort Myers.
Yeah,
but they're up here, and they were still recovering from the hurricane 2 years ago, Ian.
Yeah.
And they just got their house finished, and so they were, on pins and needles yesterday, wondering. But thank God it was downgraded to a Category 3 by the time it hit. But I don't know whether or not the storm surge, got their house.
Right. I mean, the storm surge in
That's the
Fort Myers.
problem.
It's like this, and because power went out, my power went out too, and so even if you have house cams, you're unable to see what's actually going on. So I think in the wake of the day today, people are going to have a better assessment of just exactly what happened and where it happened. And I saw from some of the video yesterday that Fort Myers was getting a more significant surge than, say, where I am in Naples. So hopefully it wasn't too damaging. But I can't really speak intelligently to it at this point. I just don't know. I haven't seen it. Anyway, I saw just a couple of notes on this. I don't know if you saw, but Trump housed 275 Florida power linemen free of charge at his resort in Doral, ahead of Hurricane Milton. So, it just was people pitching in, including a Florida resident named Trump. Speaking of Florida and disaster relief management, as well as emergency preparedness, Ron DeSantis was on last night with Norah O'Donnell, fresh off of her VP debate moderation.
Was she fact-checking him, too?
No, she didn't. But she did try to play this misinformation game with him because Joe Biden staggered out to talk to the press yesterday ahead of Milton making landfall. And, of course, he was asked this canned question by the press.
Why do you think Trump is spreading misinformation?
I don't know. I simply don't know. You can speculate, but I just find it, I've used the phrase more than I've used it ever my whole career, un-American. It's un-American. It's not who the hell we are. What are they talking about?
What are you talking about? I'd like a specific example of misinformation to address. Why is Trump spreading misinformation just generally? Well, what specifically has he said that is quote unquote misinformation? We didn't get that. I'm not sure what it is. Being critical of the FEMA response in North Carolina and Georgia, Tennessee. What is it? I know there are things that are being bandied about that are untrue, but I don't know that Trump is the one bandying them about. But you just get to, this is what the press corps does. You just get to target someone you don't like or someone you're trying to defeat, or both, and just say they're spreading misinformation. And then you get the person you're supporting to say, yes, it's terrible, this misinformation they're spreading. What misinformation? So O'Donnell tried that with DeSantis. So are you concerned as the president is? And DeSantis was having none of it, except one piece of information or concern that was being expressed. Take a listen.
You mentioned you've been in touch with President Biden, that those conversations have been constructive. Just a short time ago, President Biden from the White House denounced what he called this onslaught of misinformation. He said it's reckless. He said the lies that are out there are un-American. Are you also concerned that some of these lies, this misinformation, is undermining confidence in the relief efforts?
Well, I'm not sure what he was talking about per se. I know there's been a lot of controversy about North Carolina. I don't really know what's going on there. I can tell you in Florida, when there was a report that somehow was telling people not to evacuate because FEMA was somehow going to take over their homes, I can tell you in the state of Florida, that will not happen. I am in charge in Florida. We are working with FEMA to leverage resources, but we make the decisions. You will be allowed back into your home as soon as the storm passes. I put that in the executive order. I think there's some people out there. We live in an age where you can monetize a lot of this nonsense online. You can get a lot of clicks, but that is not true in Florida. So we are going to do it right. Your property is going to be protected, and we're going to make sure that you get back on your feet.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line. Biden met with the press 2 times in 3 hours and came out swinging against Trump both times. Not easing the concerns of the people. That's what he should be doing, or saying, hey, this is what we have in place. It was all misinformation. Trump never said that FEMA was going to seize people's property. Trump never claimed that they were only going to get $750. That was just a start, because then you have to apply for paper, fill out paperwork to get more money.
Well, there is some things going around, because I was asked about it by a friend of mine. Did you hear that $750 is just a loan? It's not a grant, and this is the way that FEMA, if you don't pay the loan back, the federal government can seize your home. I'm like, first of all, I know what the policy is. In addition, I been through it in Ian 2 years ago. Not that I got the $750, but the point is, it is a grant. It's not a loan. That's not true. So there are things being bandied about that are untrue. But to lay this all at the doorstep of Trump is ridiculous. Right. Although Biden also, inadvertently, essentially took a shot at Harris, his replacement. Phil Wegman had a big day yesterday. First with the big guy, Phil Wegman, the political reporter for RealClearPolitics.com. First with the big guy, and then with KJP. We'll get to KJP later, but Phil Wegman trying to see if Biden wanted to referee the back and forth between DeSantis and Kamala.
Mr. President, does Governor DeSantis need to take Vice President Harris's calls?
All I can tell you is I'm talking to Governor DeSantis. He's been very gracious. He's thanked me for all we've done. He knows what we're doing, and I think that's important.
Can you say that Florida has everything it needs for the storm?
So those two things are mutually exclusive. Either Ron DeSantis is playing politics, according to Kamala, or Ron DeSantis is talking to the President of the United States about this natural disaster that was coming, and has been gracious and professional. They both can't be true, so somebody's lying, and I think it's the person whose name rhymes with Mamala. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thank you much for taking my call. And I'm real answer to prayer that some of the things that are going on in Florida are a lot less, terrible than what it could have been. And that's for sure. But what I wanted to say about the thing is, it's so clear that when a leftist is asked anything about like what they're going to do, or if they're trying to explain anything that they're going to do for the country or anything, it always goes off the tracks to trash Trump. They've got nothing that they can basically point to or basically explain that they're going to do to help anybody or help our country. Just trash Trump every single time.
Thanks for the call, Craig. The one thing too is sort of sad, but has a happy ending.
What?
Did you see that the Florida state trooper came upon the dog that was tied to a fence?
Oh no! What? Oh wait.
Yeah.
What should do?
Well,
it's Haitian migrants ate it. Just kidding.
You have to. Yeah, right. Please don't eat this dog. There's this. He pulled over like it was. I don't know exactly where this was, but thankfully he had his body cam on, and so he saw this dog in the field that was tied to a fence while the water was rising, and he went and rescued him. And hopefully, whoever tied that dog to a fence will be given the DeSantis treatment, if you know what I mean. And I think you do.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, a little bit more on this, because some of the left's bête noirs, Trump, but like I said, staging all these power linemen in Florida, as well as Elon Musk riding to the rescue when it comes to responding to these disasters over the last couple of weeks. 5:38.
Yeah, people are still in need. Don't let them fool you. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Smith.
It's 5:31 on AM 560, The Answer, and Milton made landfall Wednesday night. Powerful Category 3 storm, life-threatening storm surges, heavy winds and rain. Florida Congressman Greg Steube was right in the middle of it.
It was, I mean, the eye of the hurricane went right over us. So you had a 100-mile-an-hour wind going one way, and then after the eye passed, you had a 100-mile-an-hour wind going the opposite way. So a lot of rain before that.
Flash flood emergency continues at this hour for portions of west central Florida. Florida Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Patronis urging people to let officials begin the recovery process.
Look, if you don't have to be home today, take your time. You know what? Do you want to go and rush back home where you may not have access to electricity, clean water, gas, or food? Let our first responders do their jobs.
The storm has left more than 3 million customers without power after coming ashore earlier at Siesta Key, a barrier island just south of Sarasota. Fort Myers, Florida Mayor Kevin Anderson had nothing but praise for Governor Ron DeSantis.
The governor is always very supportive when these storms happen. And when it comes to a disaster, he is a great leader.
Milton has been downgraded to a Category 2 hurricane, slowly moving to a Category 1. Again, up to 3 million are without power. Maximum sustained winds going to 85 miles an hour within this hour. Palestinian medical officials say an Israeli strike on a school sheltering so-called displaced people, according to residents in Gaza, has killed 21. Residents also say it was a makeshift police-run post held by Hamas. Justice Department may ask a judge to break up Google's search engine from other parts of its company, accusing the tech giant of holding an illegal monopoly. Tens of millions of Social Security recipients will learn today how big a cost of living boost they'll get in their benefits next year. In advance of the announcement, analysts say they forecast a benefit boost of about 2.5%. Tension remains high between members of the Chicago City Council, Mayor Brandon Johnson, over the state of the city's school board. Multiple aldermen are working with the mayor's office to have the outgoing and incoming board members appear at a hearing before the council.
It was said that the current members of the board, as well as those that you appointed, would come to the meeting. Now, I urge you, in your authority, as the person who's appointed the board members as well as the new board members.
You want me to exercise my authority?
Absolutely.
The council was supposed to hold a special meeting yesterday on Johnson's overhaul, but it was canceled after no school board members showed up. Chicago alderman is using Robert's rules to protest Brandon Johnson's cancellation of the ShotSpotter contract. Alderman Anthony Beal used a parliamentary maneuver to stall each piece of legislation that Johnson introduced yesterday.
You think I like deferring the stuff? But you know what I don't like? Canceling ShotSpotter when people are dying on the damn street.
Johnson dropped his plan to veto an ordinance the city council passed last month, giving Police Superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new deal with ShotSpotter. Johnson has argued the ordinance is illegal. Bears getting a little bit healthier. Just 2 players missed practice yesterday in London. Chicago goes up against Jacksonville Sunday morning. The Bulls bringing in a little backcourt competition, signing guard Javon Freeman-Liberty to a deal yesterday. And the Blackhawks gearing up for Game 2 of the season, visiting Winnipeg tomorrow. The news is a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella-certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees a lack of wisdom.
A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom.
Wow, wisdom got into a national debate? Wisdom? The intellectual world of the last 100 years has been a moral cesspool. There is no secular institution with wisdom.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
77 years old.
I have a tax office. I still do taxes every year. My clients are amazed. I feel so much younger. I love it. I love the product. I tell everybody about it. I feel better. I'm just doing really good.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to live without it. I am very happy and pleased. My mom went on this Balance of Nature probably 15 years ago. She just bragged on this product all the time.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-823-5544. That's 800-823-5544. 800-823-5544.
Hey, AM 560 homeowners. Are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
5:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey, for less than the price of a monthly car payment, will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro today. On the Edens outbound, they've just cleared up an accident near Old Orchard. Again, that's on the outbound side. Things returning to normal there. I-55, an accident. Northbound between US 6 to right before I-80, the site of an accident involving a couple of cars and a semi. You're solid from Bluff Road all the way in this morning. Dan Ryan Express lanes have an accident on the ramp from the locals to the Express, inbound between 59th and 47th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. In the AM 560 Weather Center, we see plenty of sunshine in your forecast today. High 73, clear and 54 overnight. Steve Williams tells us for tomorrow, breezy and a high near 84. Currently 56. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about Hurricane Milton, still talking about Helene as well and the disaster relief response. If anybody knows how Lieutenant Dan fared in Tampa, please let us know, because he was on a mission from God, as he recounted. He was sticking it out in Tampa Bay on a 20-foot sailboat, and explain why.
All right, Dan, the people that are new, explain to them why you're deciding to stick out a Category 5, one of the worst hurricanes in Tampa history, out on a 20-foot sailboat in Tampa Harbor.
My faith in God. I don't put my faith in man. God told me to come out here and get a boat. I came out here and got a boat. And everything that he's been telling me over the last 2 days is I'm doing the right thing. He's got my back. I'm in good shape. I ain't sweating it. We're going to ride this one out. We got set up the way we know what we're doing. And as long as the water just keeps rising, we'll be fine.
Will you be wearing a life jacket?
Hell no.
Are you going to be able to swim if it need be?
In circles.
Can you swim with one leg or what?
Yeah, I can float like a damn champ. But swimming, I just go in circles.
So the plan's just to stick it out here?
Yeah. I mean, the water's going to come in, it's going to rise. If you're on land, it's going to flood, you're risking drowning. I'm in a boat. The boat goes up with the water. So even if the boat goes up 100 feet in the air, I'm going to be up 100 feet in the air with the water. So it's really, the safest place in the world to be is on my boat. And I got room for one more female.
Give the people some words of wisdom out there.
Just, you know what to do. Just be safe. Don't do stupid. And
Yeah.
we'll be all
Okay.
right. We'll be here. We'll be here tomorrow and the day after.
Perfect, man. Let's go one day at a time. Let's do it.
All right.
Lieutenant Dan, the consummate
my
Florida
God.
man. Yeah, I love it.
Lieutenant Diane. Yeah, and CNN interviewed him last night. The reporter, all of a sudden, he came out of his boat. He's like, "Hi, I'm drier than you are," and then he went back in his boat.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
I'm not sure I completely subscribe to his maritime knowledge or his
No.
suggestion that don't do anything stupid. But no, I hope Lieutenant Dan is okay, and I hope he found a female
Companion.
navigator.
They did have the roof off of part of the roof. The fabric on the roof of Tropicana Field was shredded.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
that was, but that place needs to go bye-bye anyway. Have you ever watched a game in there?
No.
Ooh, it's not fun.
Rich in Indian Head Park.
Oh, claustrophobic.
Yes, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Dan, I'm glad to hear everything is okay with you and you're safe. Do you have any information on Sean Thompson?
Sean is with Lieutenant Dan on that sailboat.
He's the chick that he found, and
Yeah.
he's in the boat now.
Thanks for the call, Rich.
No, Sean's fine. I talked to him
yeah.
at 9:30. I said, "How you doing?" He goes, "I'm watching TV on my couch."
Well, he as mentioned yesterday, yeah, he was staying, I think, at his cousin's place further inland, so he should have been fine. So, no concerns about Sean.
So, did you sandbag at all around your place?
No.
No.
No, but I saw something online that a contractor I know did to his house that I will do next time.
What's that?
The way that he sandbagged and sealed the sandbag, it was pretty wild. He posted on Instagram. It was pretty cool, but sealed it up as best we could with that sealant tape, and the rest of the stuff is hurricane grade, and moved my stuff out. Now I have to move my stuff back in, but we still don't have power, and I assume that'll take some time as well. I don't know what the flight situation is. And the airports, I know Fort Myers, like many of these airports, was closed yesterday and is closed today. But, how long this all takes to get back online is still an open question. I did want to mention Elon Musk here. The contrast between sort of Team Trump and Team Biden-Harris couldn't be more stark when it comes to these matters. The communications piece. We talked a bit earlier in the week, the piece that Byron York did over Washington Examiner about Kamala's promises, or the Biden-Harris promises, however you want to view it. They're partners. They're indistinguishable. She can't even think of one thing she'd do differently. Well, one of the things they did together was the backdoor Green New Deal, and that included $42 billion in change for rural broadband.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And as Byron York reported, if you thought only getting 7 charging stations up with $7.5 billion, if you thought that was not a great return on investment, $42 billion for broadband to rural communities, and they've gotten exactly 0 people connected online in 3 years.
That's so sad.
By contrast, Elon Musk and Starlink, both private groups and FEMA in recent days have deployed more than 1,000 Starlink terminals to restore internet service in hard-hit areas of Appalachia. The FCC has also given Starlink the green light to test a direct-to-cell service to broadcast emergency alerts. And Musk is providing temporary free satellite service in affected areas, just as he was doing, by the way, for Ukrainians. He's doing so even though the FCC last December yanked an $885 million grant for Starlink to furnish high-speed internet to 640,000 rural homes and businesses, including in the very counties where FEMA is now deploying Starlink satellites.
Oh, there you go.
Why did they do that? Because Elon Musk is not a Biden-Harris supporter. That's why they did it. The Wall Street Journal opined, as we wrote at the time, the FCC awarded Starlink the grant in 2020 because it can cover remote regions at lower cost than traditional broadband providers. But then the FCC's Dem majority revoked Starlink's funding, claiming it wasn't making fast enough progress connecting rural Americans. But that's a scream. So Musk isn't making fast enough progress while you allocate $42 billion and you connect exactly 0 people in 3 years. And you want to tell me this isn't just straight politics? 2 weeks ago, FCC Chair Jessica Rosenworcel granted Dish Network Chairman Charlie Ergen a 3-year extension to meet FCC deadlines to build out his fledgling 5G network and avoid stiff penalties for squatting on valuable spectrum. Starlink was well on its way to meeting commitments to the FCC. Ergen wasn't close to meeting his, Ergen over at Dish, but Ergen is a Biden-Harris campaign donor while Musk is a critic. And so disparate treatment based on your political viewpoints, not based on your proficiency, your competence in a particular space. Oh, and by the way, that turns out to be really important, life and death sorts of issues, right? In other words, the people that maybe could have been saved, or certainly rescued earlier, if there were communication infrastructure that Musk is providing right now, and FEMA is using Musk to provide.
312-642-5600. Give us a call, or you can text us on that very same line. I don't know if you saw this video. Dr. Phil, Elon Musk, and Samaritan's Purse, they were heading up in rural North Carolina, and they ran into an 83-year-old woman who had just had heart surgery, who was just wandering around on the street.
So, I'm going to introduce you real quick to Dr. Phil. If you watch TV, you may have seen him on TV.
How are you? We were driving down this gravel road here to head up to a location to set up a Starlink unit, and this wonderful lady flagged us down named Sue. She's 83, and she lives in this cute little house here. And she came out and said, you know, I don't want to cause any trouble, but could somebody help me? She said, I'm here. I don't have any power. I don't have any water. I don't have any food. I don't have any ability to get anywhere. I had heart surgery 2 weeks ago.
If I had a generator and be one of them Coleman stoves and some of them little things I can stay at home.
Well, we get you one. If you could just drop one off, but it's not that simple. You got to get it and get a bright plug, hook it up to the breaker box, get the house turned on, hook it up to her well, get water going. We've already got a generator here. We're fueling it up right now. We actually had one with us in our caravan, so we're already got her hooked up to a generator. But we got to get it turned on, get the right kind of plug, and then get things going. She just had heart surgery, and she's here by herself. She's fallen. She's got a mark on her forehead here. She went from just being so forlorn to being so uplifted and laughing, and I'm just so glad we stopped, so glad she flagged us down.
That's sweet. I mean, but there's like, so when the Democrats say, oh, everything's fine, FEMA's been on the ground for a long time, they're not everywhere. And that is a lie. Yes, are they on the ground now? But, I mean, she's been without power or water, Dan, for more than a week.
The point is that you should not be discouraging private action. I know there needs to be some organization to it, and communication about who's doing what on the ground in these various zones, but the way the sort of I'm in charge and we're doing it my way, and we don't want your. I'm almost saying we don't want your help. That's not the way to do it. One other issue too that's worth addressing, just to allay some people's concerns, at least in part. Early voting is set to begin in North Carolina on October 17th. The State Board of Elections in North Carolina has unanimously approved a bipartisan resolution that will move in-person early and Election Day voting locations for the residents in the counties hardest hit by the hurricane. So the logistics of changing the locations to vote in the affected counties is being turned over to the locals, and the resolution allows county boards to appoint election officials who are registered in other counties, to appoint emergency election day assistants, to reassign poll workers. So the point is they're giving them the flexibility and the latitude they need to make adjustments for accessibility purposes for residents of these impacted counties. So and the Republicans on the ground, including a Republican official in the 11th Congressional in North Carolina, said the Board of Elections is doing a great job. Every county's done an incredible job. No ballots were lost, no ballots were damaged, no machines were damaged. Okay. So in terms of concerns about those affected counties in Georgia and North Carolina being decidedly in favor of Trump, which they are and will be, concerns about them not being able to exercise their franchise, this seems to be, as sort of anticipated, the Republican Party is in those states is making sure, and the Republican governor in the case of Georgia, making sure that this is addressed, as quickly as it can be, while they're still providing the necessary relief or participating in that provision of relief.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention one metric to assess the severity of storms. Everybody's looking at all the technologically enhanced offerings of the Weather Channel and maps with
wind speed,
cones that show the track of the storm and so forth. Yeah, wind speed, all the like. But
storm surge.
What you really need to look at, of course, is the Waffle House Index.
Oh, yeah. What is... Yeah, I briefly saw something about that. What was it?
Well, the Waffle House Index, since the Waffle House is open 24/7, 365, is if the Waffle House, is in various stages of open or closed in particular regions, it tells you a little bit about the severity of the storm. And if you... So if the Waffle House is closed, that's...
You better get out of there.
That's not good. So that's a red. If this is the levels, everything's levels, category 5, 4, 3. For the Waffle House, it's green, yellow, red. Green, restaurant has power, damage is minimal or absent. Yellow, power is either absent or delivered by a generator, food supplies running low. Red, severe damage, severe flooding, severe destruction to the restaurant, because that's the only circumstance under which the Waffle House would be closed. And if you looked at the Waffle House Index in the Tampa-St. Pete area in advance of Milton making landfall yesterday, a lot of red. You had to get pretty far east, like...
to where? How far east? Did you have to go inland?
Well, I mean...
It looks pretty dotted, red dots everywhere.
Well, it's red all over Tampa and St. Pete. You had to go to like, I don't know, like Loveland or like a Lakeland to find a green Waffle House that's flashing the green signal. So anyway, still, I haven't. I know Tampa and Sarasota, Siesta Key is where it sort of made landfall, but they were talking about 15-foot surges in that area, and obviously that's like what Fort Myers experienced in Ian 2 years ago. So still trying to get an assessment of just how bad things are in different parts of Florida, a la the time it took to get a full assessment of what happened in, for example, the mountains of North Carolina.
A high tide was at around midnight last night, and then so people are going to know more this morning when day breaks to see what kind of damage was done.
The good news is that the surge didn't happen at high tide. So,
thank God.
And the storm weakened, as we talked about, so that minimized some of the damage. But anyway, we'll continue to offer any assessments we're getting, information we're getting as the morning moves forward. Coming up at 6:06, not to do a Karnak here, but David Patterson, Jack Phillips, and the Acero Charter School families. I'll give you the answer at 6:06.
And later the CTU says, no, we don't need a $300 million loan now. Now we want the TIFs. We'll explain, but let's head now into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Chicago aldermen are calling for a meeting with the new school board. 3 jurors chosen in the Mike Madigan trial, and 3 Bears players missed practice. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
How bad was Hurricane Milton? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
As the sun comes up, we're going to see the scope of the damage.
From wind and storm surge and tornadoes.
We set records in terms of most tornado warnings in one day. That's an any day, not just a hurricane or a severe weather outbreak that was planned. 55 in Miami.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean, a powerful twister did damage in St. Lucie County with at least 4 deaths reported. Sheriff Keith Pearson tells Fox Weather.
There's hundreds of houses that are just destroyed. Anything that was in the path of these multiple tornadoes, our deputies were on the scene. We were out. I was in a patrol car watching cars getting split off of I-95 as these multiple tornadoes came through.
And the search and rescue continues there. Milton first hit last night as a Category 3 hurricane near Sarasota. Just north of there, Tampa Mayor Jane Castor just said,
"Stay inside until we can get out there
with our teams. They are all in action right now.
In St. Petersburg, the storm ripped the roof off the Tropicana Field Rays baseball stadium, a staging area for first responders. There's been flooding from the surge and from the over foot of rain that fell, and there are more than 3 million power outages in Florida. And Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports.
As Hurricane Milton batters Florida, the White House is still facing criticism about its response to Hurricane Helene, with many residents in the mountains of North Carolina saying the federal response has been slow to reach those remote areas.
President Biden's vowed to be there for Milton and Helene victims, and he's upset. Former President Trump's been calling the response the worst ever.
There's been reckless and irresponsible and relentless promotion of disinformation and outright lies about what's going on. It's undermining confidence in the people in Florida.
Now, former President Trump's again rejecting Fox and CNN and other outlets trying to schedule another debate with Vice President Harris. He posted on Truth Social, there will be no rematch. There was a Trump rally last night in Pennsylvania. Harris will campaign today in Arizona. America's listening to Fox News.
55 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 3 men were shot in the East Garfield Park neighborhood Wednesday afternoon, and 1 died. A 22-year-old man self-transported to an area hospital from the scene in the 3200 block of West Maple. He had suffered multiple gunshot wounds to the back and died later at that hospital. A man has been charged in connection with a hit and run in Berwyn last month. Berwyn police and U.S. Marshals arrested Terrence Whitley Wednesday in Chicago. Whitley had been charged with vehicular hijacking, failure to remain at a scene of an aggravated battery, and more. Police believe Whitley is the suspect who took off when police tried to conduct a traffic stop near the North Riverside Park Mall on September 4. Tension remained high yesterday between members of the Chicago City Council, Mayor Brandon Johnson, over the state of the city's school board. Multiple aldermen are working with the mayor's office to have the outgoing and incoming board members both appear at a hearing before the council.
It was said that the current members of the board, as well as those that you appointed, would come to the meeting. Now, I urge you, in your authority, as the person who's appointed the board members as well as the new board members.
You want me to exercise my authority?
Absolutely.
Alderman Gil Villegas. Meantime, leaders for the Chicago Public Schools and the Chicago Teachers Union are calling on Mayor Johnson to use TIF dollars to fill a budget deficit for the school district. Acero charter school leaders are planning to close schools in Chicago. The charter school network voting last night to close 7 of their 15 schools next year. Chicago sports. Bulls bringing in a little backcourt competition, signing guard Javon Freeman-Liberty. Blackhawks gearing up for Game 2 of their regular season, visiting Winnipeg. Playoff baseball. Mets took down the Phillies 4-1 to go to the NLCS. Dodgers force a decisive Game 5 with an 8-0 win over the Padres. Tigers beat Cleveland 3-0. They can put away their central rivals later today, and the Yankees beat the Royals. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of At Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Aid for Women.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Varchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity, while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save an average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Eden's already in the red numbers, 21 and climbing from Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy at 35, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. I-55 northbounders, you're dealing with an accident. You're solid from Arsenal Road right up to near I-80 with an accident involving a semi and a couple of cars. Delays on the Stevenson outbound side due to an accident being shoved off onto the left shoulder between Route 83 and Lamont Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, it'll be a pleasant day. Our high today, 73. Clear tonight and a low 54. Breezy tomorrow morning, partly sunny, warmer day. The high jumping to 84. Partly sunny, a passing shower. Cooler on Saturday, the high 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
56 at O'Hare, 56 Midway, 47 Aurora. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I'm happy to report that Lieutenant Dan, who was waiting out Hurricane Milton on a 20-foot sailboat in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He has survived Hurricane Milton, Newsweek is reporting.
Okay, good.
His real name is Joe Malinowski.
I like Lieutenant Dan better.
And apparently a local Fox affiliate reporter spoke with him, and that he is doing just fine, as well as his first mate, Sean Thompson. They're both doing just fine. He survived to talk about his wild night riding out Hurricane Milton on his 20-foot sailboat.
Okay.
All right, so Lieutenant Dan is, yeah, I mean, he's like a character out of a Carl Hiaasen novel.
There's a lot of characters in Florida.
Do you know Carl Hyacин's
No,
books?
no,
Oh,
I-
okay. I was just reminded about Hyacin from a listener, but if you haven't read him, I mean, if you live in Florida, it's particularly poignant. But his books are good. He's pretty entertaining. It's not quite Dave Barry, but he's pretty entertaining. But there's a character in a book called Double Whammy that speaks to me. I had forgotten about. It's a long time since I read it. It's a character named Skink, who's a former Florida governor who drops out of society because he thinks the world is corrupt, but he loves Florida. And so when a hurricane comes, he lashes himself to a bridge. So it's sort of the same thing I was thinking about with my home, but fortunately I didn't need to take it to that place. Anyway, Lieutenant Dan and the Florida Man and the Carl Hyacin books and Dave Barry. There's a lot of humor in disaster and colorfulness down in Florida. I wanted to turn to something else here too. It's such a these three stories have an interesting way of intertwining themselves to offer real insight into the modern day Bolsheviks, the left in America, all over America. David Patterson, Jack Phillips, and the Acero Charter School parents. The latter in Chicago, Jack Phillips, the cake maker in Colorado, David Patterson, the former governor of New York. Doing my best Karnak here. That's the answer. So what's the question? Well, you saw what happened to David Patterson, the former governor of New York, and his stepson Anthony. On Friday night, they're walking the dog. And a bunch of barely teenage droogs happen upon them and beat them. David Patterson, you see, there's video of it. David Patterson down on the ground being kicked.
The former governor of New York.
Yes. And his stepson, Anthony. There have been 2 arrests, boys aged 12 and 13. Who've been charged with gang assault. 12 and 13-year-old beat up the former governor of New York and his stepson, who were doing nothing other than walking the dog.
I'm sure they had no clue he was a former governor.
I'm sure they did not.
It doesn't make it right, but still, come on.
At least 5 other people, and you see them on the video. It was exactly what I said. It was right out of Clockwork Orange. At least 5 other people were involved in the attack. Their names were not released due to their status as minors. Yeah. One of the assailants was a girl with purple braids.
She skipped the blue and went with purple. Okay. I want to see this video. Did you tweet it out?
No, but it's on Twitter. Okay. Former governor of New York beaten by a gang of 12, 13, roughly. Those are the 2 in custody. 12 and 13-year-olds. The Acero Charter School parents in Chicago. A lot of hewing and crying after the Acero Charter School Network announced that they are closing 7 of their 15 schools next year. Closures will begin in June of 2025, impact about 2,000 students. A lot of parents are upset. The superintendent, CEO, I suppose, of the charter school says, well, it's a function of rising costs and declining population, both students and general population in Chicago. The CTU, because CTU has insinuated itself in the charter schools, CTU members were there at the meeting and forced to howl and hoot about the closures. We expected some closures, but 7 of the 15 schools, 2,000 kids affected. That's terrible, says CTU. And say the parents. Story number 2. Story number 3, Jack Phillips, that cake maker, who this week won another legal victory in advance of religious liberty. The Colorado Supreme Court dismissed a suit that is part of a lawfare harassment campaign against Jack Phillips that has gone on for 12 years. He's a But we've had him on the show. Masterpiece Cake Shop in Lakewood, Colorado. If you're ever out Lakewood, Colorado way, stop in and buy anything from Jack Phillips. I mean, it's a 2 or 3 man operation. He designs custom cakes, makes custom cakes. His troubles began in 2012 when he declined to bake a custom wedding cake for a gay couple. Bake any other cake, but I can't be part of making a cake for a ceremony that is violative of my religious beliefs. He won at the United States Supreme Court level in 2018. And yet, again, particularly in leftist Colorado courts, you have the Lavender Bund coming up with novel ways to try to attack Jack Phillips for the latest thing that he won't do consistent with his religious beliefs. 12 years. Anything strike you about those 3 stories? The former governor of New York getting beaten up by a gang of teenagers, the charter school parents allied with CTU and decrying the closure of 7 of the 15 schools impacting 2,000 students, and Jack Phillips fight 12 years on now against the Lavender Bund and their allies in robes in Colorado to force him to comply, to force him to suspend his religious beliefs and be assimilated.
312-642-5600, our turnkey.pro text line. You can also text us there. And you do not have to type in DA.
Anything interesting about those stories? Anything that any dots connect for you about those stories?
Well, just like with the CTU, a lot of parents are moving themselves and their children out of Chicago because of high crime, because of better educational opportunities in the suburbs or maybe out of state.
Right. So
Did have a good showing of parents and at their meeting yesterday when they told the parents it affects 2,000 kids and teachers and but it's what the CTU should be doing too. They should be closing those 100 schools that Pedro Martinez mentioned. And since he even spoke the words, came out of his mouth, now they want to take his job away. But that's an ancillary issue. So
you know how the Jacobins hung or executed, guillotine, not hung, France, guillotined their financiers. The guillotined people that had that were no longer useful to them. You had served your purpose. Now you're sort of in the way. And that's what happens. That's what happens in these leftist revolutions, whether it's in Russia or France or the United States. And so David Patterson, rank and file, decarceration, deprosecution, defund the police Democrat, beaten up by what he was in part responsible for unleashing.
yeah, he created it.
Acero charter school parents. Acero charter school parents have the schools they like for their kids taken away because of what they unleashed. The unionization, the absence from the debate or the fight, really, to protect opportunity scholarships, to protect school choice in Illinois, to make it attractive to stay, and with the idea that you could have resources if you didn't have them yourself, resources to send your kids to better schools, because, you stay where your kids get the best education. But where were you? You were through in with the teachers union, and now those schools are gone.
Dear Lord, I'm watching this video of the former governor and his stepson getting beaten up. Then other people come. It starts with 3, and then other people come in too. And I thought to help, but then they start kicking him as well.
And the Jack Phillips piece of it?
Yeah.
is well, it just shows you it's both sides of it. One is how you have to deal with them, unlike the Acero parents did. Well, I know we're supposed to have great empathy for the Acero charter school parents. They're crying at the school board meeting and so on and so forth. Sorry. Nope. Can't muster it. Supposed to feel terrible for David Patterson and his stepson. I mean, I do. I don't want anybody to get beaten up. But, I mean, if you want me to rally to David Patterson's defense, nobody deserves to be beaten up like he and his stepson were beaten up. But as I said, he was a accomplice in what has beset New York City.
Jeez, it was broad daylight, too.
And Jack Phillips has, in a dignified and yet unyieldingly defiant way, said, this is what I believe, and I'm going to live my life in furtherance of those beliefs. I am going to die standing up, not on my knees. And so come what may. And it's been a lot that's come his way over 12 years, having to spend 12 years in court. And we've had, as I said, we've had him on the show. If you've ever heard an interview with Jack Phillips, I don't think anybody who's fair-minded would doubt his authenticity. But it shows you a lot about the left's posture. They will use whatever means they have. If that same group that beat up the former governor of New York saw Jack Phillips on the street, somebody pointed him out, they beat him up too. It's just different varietals of sentimental barbarism. The same thing you see in a rhetorical way from a Howard Stern when he interviews Kamala Harris. Yeah, who could have seen that coming? A guy who made a career out of bathroom humor and grade school pranks. Once he gets the money and the acceptance that he so much desired, becomes a tool of the new Bolsheviks. Boy, what a shock that is.
He's going to have to find a hospital to check himself into when Trump wins.
Jack Phillips is the example of how you have to wage war against these uncivilized thugs, these destroyers of Western civilization. And the Acero charter school parents and politicians like David Patterson are the examples of how not to do it. So David Patterson, the Acero charter school parents, and Jack Phillips.
What is the battle for Western civilization? Hi-oh.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Remember, Dan, when SNL would relentlessly make fun of Governor Patterson?
Yeah, Fred Armisen did Patterson.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, this fall, don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements, a proud supporter of this radio station for 10 years. You know that turkey, pumpkin pie, ice cream aren't going to cut it. Your body needs fruits and vegetables to stay healthy, happy, and energized. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It's so easy to open up the individual capsules and dust them over a salad, mix them into juice drinks, warm water. That's how I do it. And it makes me feel great. Thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day. With that, You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. It's that simple. Be proactive. Do something for yourself. Get your bottles of fruits and veggies today. The number to call, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 6:36, we're going to talk about this new database that has been established by an organization. We've had representatives of this organization on before. It's called Do No Harm. It's a secular advocacy organization that's focused on combating transgender politics in medicine. StopTheHarmDatabase.com. StopTheHarmDatabase.com. You're going to want to check this out for yourself. I think you'll be particularly interested after you hear from a father in the St. Louis area who appeared on the Trans Families for Kamala Zoom call. Yeah.
That's a thing now?
Fresh off the white
dudes
dudes for Kamala and so forth, and angry white women for Kamala and so forth. We have Trans Families for Kamala Zoom call. You'll hear from that St. Louis father at 6:36.
And then later, Trump is veering off the battleground map to blue states. He's coming to Chicago on Tuesday, don't you know? But now let's head into that newsroom for the latest on Hurricane Milton. And it's what, a tropical storm now, hopefully, Mike Scott?
Just below a Category 1 hurricane right now off the east of Florida at 6:29. Milton did make landfall late Wednesday night as a powerful Category 3 storm. Florida Senator Rick Scott gave an update this morning on storm-related deaths.
They said there were several deaths in the retirement community. So we'll get a better assessment today of exactly what happened.
Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkaw detailed what they've seen so far this morning.
We've seen a lot of trees down, power lines down. Fortunately, we did not get the storm surge that we were expecting.
Burkaw saying officers did have to rescue several adults and 3 young children from a home in Sulphur Springs.
We were dispatched to a call where 15 people were in a house where the tree had fell on the house and water was coming in the house.
Flash flood emergencies continue for portions of west central Florida. The storm has left more than 3 million without power after coming ashore at Siesta Key. Governor Ron DeSantis says the state is ready despite dealing with Helene just a short time ago.
People are tired because of having to deal with Hurricane Helene, and yet all I've seen is people just dig deep inside and say, we're not going to be denied, we're going to get the job done. So I really appreciate everybody that's worked so hard.
Milton is damaging the home of baseball's Tampa Bay Rays, tearing open the roof of Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. It was being used as a base camp for thousands of emergency workers. No injuries reported. Former President Barack Obama will be on the stump today in Pittsburgh, campaigning for Vice President Kamala Harris, part of an effort to drum up voter participation that is lagging for Democrats in parts of the critical swing state of Pennsylvania. Meantime, former President Trump made 2 campaign stops in the Keystone State yesterday.
Trump said on Truth Social Wednesday it was very late in the process, with voting already beginning, saying there will be no rematch. He went on to say that Harris already said she would do nothing different than Joe Biden, so there's nothing to debate. CNN told both candidates they had until Thursday to accept an invitation for an October the 23rd debate, with Fox News giving both an invitation for a debate on either October the 24th or the 27th. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Tennis great Rafael Nadal is retiring. The 22-time Grand Slam champion released a video message this morning saying he will retire at the end of this season. The 38-year-old will make his final appearance for Spain next month at the Davis Cup. A Monet painting stolen by the Nazis during World War II has finally been returned to its rightful owners. The FBI discovered the artwork at a New Orleans gallery. The painting was looted from an Austrian couple in 1940, and their grandchildren finally received it on Wednesday. Here in Chicago, 3 men were shot in the East Garfield Park neighborhood Wednesday afternoon. 1 died after gunfire broke out in the 3200 block of West Maypole. A man has been charged connected with a hit and run in Berwyn last month. Berwyn police and U.S. Marshals arrested Terrence Whitley Wednesday in Chicago. Whitley is the suspect who police believe took off when officers tried to conduct a traffic stop near the North Riverside Park Mall on September 4. A man is charged after guns were found in the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago. SWAT teams responded Tuesday night to the River North skyscraper after a hotel worker saw firearms in a room. Several firearms were located by officers and ammunition and a scope in a vehicle belonging to the suspect. Brandon Peck was arrested on multiple gun charges. And jury selection continues today in the racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. 3 jurors were chosen yesterday. Playoff baseball, Mets beat the Phillies 4-1, and they head to the NLCS. Dodgers over the Padres 8-0. Tigers beat Cleveland 3-0, and the Yankees over the Royals. The news, a service of Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in the Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent, programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka talks style versus substance.
I get really angry when I have somebody who says they're a conservative say, I just, his style. And I'm thinking, what? 30,000 murderers led into the country, 20 million illegals, war in the Middle East, war in Europe, and you're still going on about mean tweets.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen up. I'm talking to those of you who wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, ouch, maybe your hips. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and let's talk about real, lasting relief. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. What's that? QC Kinetics uses your own body's healing properties in those achy joints. Cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. You know, the choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications, pursue surgery and a long recovery, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. You've got nothing to lose. Do it. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
6:37. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of ExpressPros.com. If your supply chain demands a flexible workforce, hire with Express Employment Professionals. With contract and full-time workers from Express Employment, you get the staff you need and manage contingent labor costs. Learn more at ExpressPros.com. Kennedy at 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange already. Kennedy outbound 34 back out to the big airport. Stop and go on the Ike inbound Manheim to East Avenue. 46 into the old post office. I-55 all jammed up between Arsenal and I-80. An accident blocking 2 right lanes on the northbound side. And ongoing cleanup continues. An accident on the Stevenson outbound. Left shoulder now between Route 83 and Lamont Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. A pleasant day ahead. Plenty of sunshine. High 73. Clear and 54 overnight. Currently 54 at O'Hare, 46 in Morris, 47 in Lansing. And your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trans families for Kamala, the Zoom call. Were you on it?
We'd love to hear from you. 312-642-5600, or you can text us if you don't want to admit it on the phone.
In case you missed it, here's a good representative of those on the call. This is a father from the St. Louis area talking about his daughter, who is now identifying as his son, who began her transition, he tells us, in 2nd grade. Take a listen. And wait till the end, where you hear where he is going to go next level with his kid when it comes to quote-unquote gender-affirming care, which is a Orwellian term for mutilation.
An important thing happened to my daughter. We've always known that our daughter, ever since she was born, she was always who she was. And so it didn't come to a surprise for us to find out when she chose to start using she, her pronouns. But the reason she chose she, her pronouns was because of her second grade teacher. And when we limit our teachers' access to our kids, which they spend more time with our children than we do as parents, when we limit that access, when we limit what they can do and how they can help our kids grow, I can only imagine the hurt and the struggles that some of these kids are going to end up going through. A lot of these kids don't get to go home to a welcoming household, welcoming parents, or a welcoming family or community, and they're welcomed at school by their teachers. If we allow red states to continue to limit access that teachers have to our kids, my own child would still be struggling to find their identity. But because she had a second grade teacher that stepped up and let her know, you decide who you want to be. It's not about what your parents say or your grandparents say. You know you. So from this moment forth, in this school, who do you want to be? And in second grade, my daughter chose she, her, and the entire school has been using she, her now. She's now in 5th grade. And so there's an important aspect that's overlooked in red states, the limit that teachers have. So that's a big thing. And then secondly, obviously, the biggest is our lack of health care. My daughter is now 11, and we have our very first appointment for our gender affirming care. Our hospital, our children's hospital here in St. Louis, was shut down. Our doctor was made to flee the state and is now working somewhere else. And our first appointment is at the end of this month in Peoria, Illinois.
Of course.
Of course it is.
Of course. Why? We're the abortion capital of the world. Now we'll be the transgender surgery capital of the world.
He had me confused, right? He's referring to his daughter, but it's his son who is now is identified as his daughter because that's the way he refers to him. The teacher helped transition his son to be his daughter in 2nd grade because, unfettered access, and dad abdicates any responsibility for the kid. Oh, my daughter was always my daughter, even when he was my. I mean, it's a sickness, and it's not. I'm not just talking about with the kid. There's a new database out. It turns out what we have been saying for a while. One important aspect of this story is that mutilating kids is a business, and business is good. You would expect it would be with all of the agitprop from the politicized medical community buffaloing vulnerable parents like apparently this dad out of St. Louis. The database from Do No Harm is called Stop the Harm Database. StopTheHarmDatabase.com. I tweeted it out. And it's a national database of, but with state by state and institution by institution breakouts of the money that's being made here. And since dad has taken his son to Illinois for the, I assume puberty blockers, and then, well, we'll see, surgery perhaps. In Illinois, according to this database, and I think this is over the last, I think it's something like 2019 to 2023, but it's not clear to me the time horizon they're using. But 418 total patients, 211 total surgery patients. So 211 children. This is just children. 211 children have been mutilated at hospitals in Illinois, children's hospitals in Illinois. 212 total hormone and puberty blocker patients. 1,615 prescriptions written. Total medical charges submitted, and there's no, and they go through this in the database. I don't want to get into the medicalese, but they go through this, that there's no mistaking that this is billing for trans-related medications and surgeries. $644,000. Number one is Robert Lurie Children's Hospital, the much vaunted Robert Lurie Children's Hospital.
I have an entire wing dedicated to this.
145 total patients, 39 surgery patients, 39 kids mutilated. 108 hormone and puberty blocker patients, 962 prescriptions written, $274,000 in submitted charges, submitted billing.
That's just criminal. I mean, they should wait at least until they're 18, so this could be a phase that they might be growing out of. Who knows? But once you cut off the wee-wee, you ain't getting that thing back. If you get a hysterectomy, you're never going to be able to have kids again.
So Illinois is not the worst offender, at least not yet. I think Lurie's Children's Hospital certainly wants to be someday. So think about that next time you hear some advertisement for Lurie's Children, or we're doing some sort of ball to support Lurie's Children and all the wonderful work they do. I'm sure they do wonderful work, but they also do this work. The Dirty Dozen, this is the list that Do No Harm has compiled. The 12 worst offending children's hospitals promoting sex change treatment for minors. Children's Hospital Philadelphia is number 1. Connecticut Children's Medical Center, number 2. Minnesota, 3. Seattle, 4. L.A., 5. Boston, 6. Children's Hospital out of San Diego, 7, and so forth. Listen to some of these billing numbers. The top 10 billing institutions. Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York, $8.2 million.
Jeez.
Boston's Children's Hospital in Boston, $6.5. Surgery Center of Texas in Plano, Texas, $4.5 million. The Children's Hospital at Stanford, $4.4 million. Legacy Good Samaritan in Portland, Oregon, $3.7 million. You know, millions and millions of dollars for a bunch of children's hospitals around the country. That's real money. And this is we're at the advent of this.
Yeah, this is just beginning. Didn't they say it was going to be a $5 billion business by 2030?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're on their way.
The top doctors, they don't disclose names. Do No Harm doesn't, but we'll see. You'll see how long that anonymity lasts. If you know which doctor and how much they billed, then it's not too difficult to identify the actual person. A doctor at Boston Children's Hospital billed $5.1 million. Doctor at Mount Sinai, Beth Israel, $4.5 million. Doctor at Stanford, $4.1. Doctor at Tisch Hospital, 3.1. Surgery Center of Texas, 3.6. So, I mean, millions of dollars billed by doctors and millions more by the institutions as a whole. And there's a lot of children's hospitals and hospitals that are involved in this. Some, not a lot of patients and procedures yet, but they're in the game. I mean, for example, obviously in Illinois, Lurie is the dominant player. $274,000 of the $644,000 in total submitted medical charges. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 hospitals in Illinois on the list who at least have at least one patient. Springfield Memorial Hospital, University of Illinois Hospital, 69 patients, 69 patients, 68 surgery patients. 68 children mutilated, University of Illinois Hospital, 1 hormone and puberty blocker patient.
And some of these parents who just want to appease their children, oh, yes, little Jimmy or Sally, I'll do whatever you want. Just because they're offering the surgeries doesn't make it morally correct. I mean, I don't know if you remember this story. We know a family in L.A., and their son was 5'3.5" and he wanted to be taller. So they did the surgery while he was 14 years old, not even done growing, where they broke his legs, Dan, the femur and the tibia, and they extended his legs. So now he's 5'6". I had to leave the table. I was appalled that is just barbarism and grotesque that they did that just to be, because, he wanted to be taller. So he's really happy now, but he was in the hospital for months. It's sick. Whether it's transitioning, cutting off your penis or your breasts or breaking your legs to be taller. Dear Lord, who's governing these people?
And who's allowing it to happen? And shame on those parents for doing that. It was sickening.
The other thing that Dad said from St. Louis on the Trans Families for Kamala Zoom call that warrants some attention. The unfettered access that teachers need for our kids. You know, there's this effort to limit teachers' access to our kids, and that's a real problem. No, that's not what's happening. That's a lie, just like the left tells lies about book bans. The issue is not teachers' access to kids. The issue is teachers conspiring with kids to do things without the knowledge of parents. That's the issue. The issue is teachers in the business of effectively, use whatever term you want, propagandizing, grooming, advocating on behalf of a particular position that is either unknown or even in many cases opposed by the parents. That's the issue. There is nothing that happens between the teacher and a minor child that should go unknown by the parent or guardian, unless there's, something going on of an abusive nature with the parent or guardian. And I don't mean an abusive nature like you disagree politically with the teacher. I mean real child abuse, not this mental abuse because you're not affirming that your second grade son wants to be a girl.
He's in second grade, for God's sakes.
David in Racine, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm just wondering also as part of the enabling process, couldn't there be insurance companies involved? I don't know if they're paying for it, but if they are, it's kind of sick when you consider that people having to go through all these hoops to get necessary procedures done, but this seems to be going right through if it's paid for by insurance.
Thanks for the call, David. Well, of course, the left wants that to be yet another insurance mandate. I mean, in the governmental level, you have government bodies that pay that cover this under their insurance policies for government employees. Chicago's one of them.
And Kamala Harris wants people in prison, wants to give transgender surgeries to felons.
Yeah, I understand, and that's absurd. The same thing as supporting trans surgeries for people in this country illegally. It's across the board, but specifically here with kids, focus on kids, because there's no agency here. There are various problems with all of it, but the kids is where the adults are in charge, except in some families they're not. Will and Skokie.
Hey, Chicago area and Illinois may be the leader as far as these surgeries, but it's soon going to be the leader in who gets sued, because eventually this quackery is going to come to light, and it's kind of like the old days when they would do lobotomies, frontal lobotomies for people.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get their butt sued really bad, and I hope the parents are included in those suits. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the call, Will. Joe, East Dundee.
Yeah, Dan and Amy. This father would have been much better off raising dogs or cats, than children. He's mental. That's the only thing I can come up with. He's mental in his head. When you start a family, you try to bring your children up the best way you can, and I can't even convince my own daughter to vote Republican. So.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Well, I mean, he's the father. I would guess is just politically lobotomized.
Yeah.
Speaking of what Will said, he's politically lobotomized himself, so he no longer has the capacity to provide the stewardship for his son that is required of every father. I mean, that's self-inflicted. I'm not excusing it. I'm just describing it. I'm sure he thinks he's doing the right thing, and that's the sickness.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, 200 years from now, this tranny movement will be regarded as what we think now of the Aztecs who sacrificed their children to the rain gods.
Well, I mean, look, I know people think that this is, a lot of people think this is so outside the lines that it soon will pass. Survey out this week by the CDC. 3.3% of high school students identify as trans. Another 2.2% are questioning their gender identity.
That's a lot more than I thought.
Well, what a society extols, it begets. So that's what it's begetting. 3.3%? I mean, what's the number of the aggregate population of kids under the age of 18 in America is what? Round number, 70 million? So 3% is 2.1 million? Another 2% are questioning? I mean, that's a lot of kids. Small percentage of a big number. And what does the CDC say? We have 5% of young people in the country who, because of the way they identify around their gender, are stigmatized, bullied, made to feel unsafe, feel disconnected at school, have poor mental health, and higher risk for suicide than their cisgender peers. That's what's heartbreaking. The director of the CDC's Adolescent and School Health Division. The experts.
Who's getting bullied? I want to know.
The experts have ridden to the rescue once again for millions and millions of kids that are being led down the road to the destruction of their lives, as we have heard very poignantly from detransitioners like Chloe Cole and Prisha Mosley and others. Marvin in Burlington, Wisconsin.
Good morning. You know, I thought of Dr. Frankenstein when you talk of these doctors. You know, the mutilation that they're putting children through who aren't allowed to buy a pack of cigarettes is disgraceful. But it's society's building blocks have been torn down to the point of this. The first thing that father said, the teacher spends more time with our children than he does. Is he insane? Of course the child's mixed up. The one thing as a parent you have to do is be with your child, stay involved, and have family dinners so you talk about kids' problems, not let them live their own lives independently when they come home in front of a TV eating fast food. I mean, it's no church. You know, they took the cross out of the schools back in the 60s. What's gotten better since? I mean, I really don't know if society will ever wake up. I mean, it's a frightening situation we live in today, and no one seems to have the stones to say anything about it. But I will say, Eric Hovde yesterday sounded pretty good. He was spot on with what he had to say.
Yeah, exactly right. Get Hovde across the finish line in Wisconsin. Help him, Marvin.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, we'll talk to Brendan O'Neill from Spiked about the fight for civilization as represented by war in the Middle East. That's 7:07.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Chicago aldermen call for a meeting with the full school board. A man charged after guns were found at the Trump Tower in Chicago. 3 jurors chosen in the Mike Madigan trial. And Freeman Liberty signs with the Bulls. WIND Chicago News Time 7.
Sunrise shines light on what Hurricane Milton did. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We've seen a lot of trees down, power lines down. Fortunately, we did not get the storm surge that we were expecting.
Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkhaw tells Fox it's not safe for people to go out.
We had a big, large tree fall on a house. We got a 911 call during the storm that a family of 15 were in there.
Crews were able to rescue them all. In nearby St. Petersburg, the storm ripped the roof off the Tropicana Field Rays baseball stadium, a staging area for first responders. Milton's still a hurricane exiting Florida's east coast now, leaving more than 3 million power outages after making landfall last night near Sarasota, where Jeff Snell owns a store, and he tells Fox he's expecting.
Probably with total destruction. We had about 3/4 destruction after Helene, and we were in the process of rebuilding.
There's also flooding from storm surge and from more than a foot of rain, and some people have needed to be rescued. There's also tornado damage across Florida.
We had search and rescue crews out there trying to get folks into shelters before the storm actually made impact to our area. The tornadoes were ahead of the hurricane.
St. Lucie Sheriff spokesman Eric Gill tells Fox there are at least 4 deaths and reports hundreds of homes were damaged. The sheriff's office was destroyed. Right before Milton hit, former President Trump at a rally in Reading, Pennsylvania, offered his prayers and again was critical of the federal response to Hurricane Helene that hit 2 weeks ago.
We have North Carolina's been hit very hard, and this administration has not done a proper job at all.
That and other Republican criticism is upsetting President Biden.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid.
Now, former President Trump continues to say no to another debate with Vice President Harris, who will rally tonight in Arizona. He posted on Truth Social, there will be no rematch. America's listening to Fox News.
We are at 54 degrees at 7:02 in Chicago. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. 3 men were shot in the East Garfield Park neighborhood Wednesday afternoon. 1 died. A 22-year-old man self-transported from the scene in the 3200 block of West Maypole. He had suffered multiple gunshot wounds to the back and died later at a nearby hospital. A man charged in connection with a hit and run in Berwyn last month. Berwyn police and U.S. Marshals arrested Terrence Whitley Wednesday. He's been charged with vehicular hijacking and failure to remain at the scene. Whitley is the suspect who took off when officers tried to conduct a traffic stop near the North Riverside Park Mall September 4. Tension remains high between members of the Chicago City Council and Mayor Brandon Johnson over the state of the city's school board. Multiple aldermen working within the mayor's office to try and have outgoing and incoming board members appear at a hearing before the council.
It was said that the current members of the board, as well as those that you appointed, would come to the meeting. Now, I urge you, in your authority, as the person who's appointed the board members as well as the new board members.
You want me to exercise my authority?
Absolutely.
However, a meeting was scheduled later in the month as an education committee hearing. Meantime, leaders for the Chicago Public Schools and the Teachers Union are calling on the mayor to use TIF dollars to fill a budget deficit for the school district.
Our plan to de-TIF the entire city of Chicago by expiring all TIFs and sweeping fund balances would generate well over $1 billion in surplus immediately, ensuring that our schools are stabilized instead of facing down cuts.
TIF revenue is property tax dollars collected to spur economic development in separate parts of the city. CTU believes the funding could generate, again, over $1 billion. Bulls bringing in a little backcourt competition, signing guard Javon Freeman Liberty to a deal last night. Bulls host Memphis on Saturday. The Blackhawks are gearing up for their second game of the season tomorrow, visiting Winnipeg. The news service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Michael Alfaro Radio Show, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Quick Delivery Service.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
If you have high blood pressure, you have the #1 risk factor for mortality.
Don't be a walking time bomb. Make this change and watch your blood pressure drop.
Order a 120 Life today.
Yes, 120 Life is an amazing blend of superfruit juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure.
It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
It's up to you to control your blood pressure, not Big Pharma.
Seriously, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. You've got nothing to lose but your high blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com and use promo code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower your blood pressure. It really works.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
7:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the roads, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. The Kennedy at 80 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now is at 1 hour, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson right now on the inbound side, 54 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Dan Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, it'll be a pleasant day. Our high today, 73. Clear tonight and a low 54. Breezy tomorrow morning, partly sunny, warmer day. The high jumping to 84. Partly sunny, a passing shower. Cooler on Saturday, the high 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Currently, we have 54 at O'Hare, 46 in Kankakee, and 59 Lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I know, according to Bob Woodward's new book, and by the way, I don't take Bob Woodward at face value. He is not this paragon of truth that the D.C. press corps makes him out to be, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
Watergate hero.
The in his new book, he suggests that Joe Biden not particularly happy with Bibi's prosecution of the war against radical Islamic terrorism in the region. Allegedly called him a effing bad guy and argued with him about his response to the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas, which we just memorialized a few days ago. I think Bibi is actually prosecuting this war and communicating about its prosecution quite effectively, and almost Churchillian. Maybe some people wouldn't take it that far, but his speech to Congress provided the moral clarity in a Churchillian way. And I thought his latest video that he posted with a message specific to the Iranian people was a brain stroke as well. Take a listen.
I speak a lot about the leaders of Iran. Yet at this pivotal moment, I want to address you, the people of Iran. I want to do so directly, without filters, without middlemen. Every day, you see a regime that subjugates you make fiery speeches about defending Lebanon, defending Gaza. Yet every day, that regime plunges our region deeper into darkness and deeper into war. Every day, their puppets are eliminated. Ask Mohammed Deif. Ask Nasrallah. There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach. There's nowhere we will not go to protect our people and protect our country. With every passing moment, the regime is bringing you, the noble Persian people, closer to the abyss. The vast majority of Iranians know their regime doesn't care a whit about them. If it did care, if it cared about you, it would stop wasting billions of dollars on futile wars across the Middle East. It would start improving your lives. Imagine if all the vast money the regime wasted on nuclear weapons and foreign wars were invested in your children's education and improving your health care, in building your nation's infrastructure, water, sewage, all the other things that you need. Imagine that. But you know one simple...
It's a reminder to the intemperate in the West that the hate, it goes in one direction, from jihadists towards Jews, not the other way. And certainly not with respect to the otherwise peaceful Iranian people or people in any other part of the region. That was evidenced by the efforts that were made under Trump to negotiate those Abraham Accords, to strengthen the ties between the Jewish state and Arab states. But I guess this is sort of lost in the middling of the morality of the issue in advance of electoral politics, the left's electoral politics in places like America. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by Brendan O'Neill, chief political writer at Spiked, author of the recently released A Heretic's Manifesto, Essays on the Unsayable. Brendan, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I know you wrote a piece about this on the occasion of October 7th. Your reaction to Bibi's direct appeal to the Iranian people.
I think I agree with you that Netanyahu is executing this war well, this war that is being now fought on many fronts, against Hezbollah, against Hamas, against the threat posed by the theocratic regime in Iran. I think he's doing an excellent job. And the most important thing, I think, about Netanyahu is that he understands what is at stake, not only territorially for Israel, and there's a huge amount at stake for Israel, of course, but for the world more broadly, especially for the Western world. He understands that what is being fought in the Middle East at the moment is not only a war between Israel and its radical Islamist enemies, but it's a war between civilization and barbarism. It's a war between the values and virtues of a democratic society as represented by Israel and the barbarism of movements like Hamas and Hezbollah, which wish to kill Jews and subject all men and women to their unforgiving religious diktat. That is really what is at stake here. And that the fact that so few in the West appreciate that, and actually that many in the West are taking the wrong side, are taking the side of barbarism, is deeply concerning.
You know, the other thing that speaks to that the sort of domestic political prism through which this is being viewed, particularly by the left, is the position those same people take with Ukraine. We're going to support Ukraine because they were invaded. Russia is the bad actor here. And in terms of a ceasefire or any sort of cessation of hostilities, negotiated cessation of hostilities, well, that's up to the Ukrainians. But with respect to Israel, they want it not to be up to Israel.
Yeah, absolutely right. So much cant and hypocrisy from these people all the time, but especially on this issue in particular. And, you know, the thing that really shocked me this week on Monday, 7th of October, the first year anniversary of the worst act of anti-Semitic violence since the Holocaust, is that there were many voices in the West, left-wing voices, newspaper people, activists, students at Columbia University, all of whom tried to turn Monday into the anniversary not of the slaughter of the Jews, but the anniversary of the Jewish state's own war against the Palestinian people as they see it. So they even hijacked the anniversary. They even hijacked Jewish people around the world grieving for the loss of 1,200 of their co-religionists in that pogrom a year ago. They even hijacked that to push their boring, hysterical agenda, which is one of absolute boiling animus towards the world's only Jewish nation. So they won't even let Jews grieve in peace. They won't even let them have 24 hours. They won't even let them have one measly day in which to commemorate the dead and the lost of 7th of October. It was so sick and so sinister, and it really pointed to what is going on here, which is not just that these people in the West, in our universities and our institutions and the media classes, not only that they've read this conflict wrong, but that they are actually demonstrating their own hostility towards the values of civilization. They are demonstrating just how far they have strayed from the path of reason and the path of enlightenment, that they can look at a war like this and take the side of the Jew haters and take the side of the modern day fascists. And you do wonder, you find yourself wondering, what side would these people have taken in 1939? And it doesn't bear thinking about.
Yeah. I mean, and for some of these individuals, including the current and former students in Ivy League schools, we don't have to wonder. Kamani James, who is the leader of the pro-Hamas campus movement at Columbia, and was suspended ultimately, but not, as a last resort by the administration. They tried everything they could to, not discipline him, but ultimately was suspended. He used the occasion of October 7th this week to tweet, "I will not allow anyone to shame me for my politics. Anything I said, I meant it." And what he said is, Zionists don't deserve to live comfortably, let alone Zionists don't deserve to live.
Yeah, this is what we're up against. And in fact, you were very kind to mention my book, A Heretic's Manifesto, but I have a new book out, which was published a couple of weeks ago, called After the Pogrom, 7th of October, Israel and the Crisis of Civilization. And in that book, I look at precisely this problem. I look at the response in the West to the pogrom of 7th of October, to the vile acts carried out by Hamas. And I really trace in detail how students responded, how activists responded. I remind readers that people in London and New York and Sydney and Berlin, they celebrated the pogrom. So on the streets of London on the 9th of October, outside the Israeli embassy, there was a supposed protest against Israel, even though Israel hadn't really done anything by that stage, which was actually a celebration. They played loud pop music, they were dancing in the streets, they were letting off fireworks. This was a pro-pogrom celebration in the streets of London in 2023, just less than 2 days after Hamas killed 1,200 Jews. And I make the point in my new book that if people in London had poured onto the streets to celebrate Kristallnacht, to celebrate the massacres of Jews in the 1930s and the 1940s, we would remember that. So we should remember that they poured onto the streets to celebrate the 7th of October. And university campuses have been the worst, especially, as you say, the Ivy League schools, and also the top universities in Britain have been very similar. They are overrun with apologists for Hamas. They are overrun with people who will openly say that Zionists don't deserve to live. And what do they mean by Zionists? Who are Zionists? Zionists are Jewish people. A majority of Jewish people have a large majority have Zionist beliefs, believe in the Jewish homeland, believe that they deserve their own homeland, as does every other people on earth. Zionists are Jews. And when I see people saying death to Zionists or Zionists off our campus, or as they did in New York not so long ago, they went on the subway and said, are there any Zionists here? Raise your hand if you're a Zionist. I only hear the word Jew.
Yeah.
What they're saying is, raise your hand if you're a Jew. Get off our campus if you're a Jew. Jews don't deserve to live. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, it's sickening what's going on. Now, the October 7th attacks, do you think they would have happened if Trump was president at the time?
It's such a good question, and I have thought about that. And I'm not sure they would have. It's hard to say, isn't it? Because Hamas are a bunch of lunatics, and we don't really know what they might do from one day to the next. So it's difficult to tell. But what is unarguable is that all the things that Biden and his supporters said when he was running for office 3.5 years ago is that he would make the world a safer place, and he would stop war, and he would stop all the chaos of the Trump years, the new fascism that Trump supposedly represents. Biden would finally restore sanity to America and peace to the world. Complete nonsense. The precise opposite has happened. War has shot up around the world. Death and destruction are happening far more than they did during Trump's tenure. Biden has, probably because he's so out of it and doesn't really know what's going on and is one of the most incompetent leaders America has ever had. As a consequence of that, the world has slightly spun out of control. I think if Trump were in power, things would definitely be different. Whether that would mean that Hamas would have held back from doing what it did, that's hard to tell. But I do think the world would probably be a better place right now if we had a President Trump rather than a President Biden.
I don't know if you saw this, but the interview that Ta-Nehisi Coates gave to CBS Mornings. Ta-Nehisi Coates has a new book called The Message, which I don't recommend. In it, the part where he tackles Israel and the Middle East. On the last day of my trip to Palestine, I visited Yad Vashem, the World Holocaust Remembrance Center. Well, there's no place called Palestine. That's in Jerusalem, in Israel. So that gives you a little indication of where Ta-Nehisi Coates is coming from. He's a pretty virulent anti-Semite. Anyway, on that show, we played it here after it occurred. We don't need to revisit it other than to characterize it. One of the hosts of the show, a guy on the show named Tony Dokapil, who is Jewish, challenged Coates' characterization of the conflict. And he basically said, for example, the line that I just read from his book sort of indicates that you don't believe Israel has a right to exist. And it was, it was a conversation or a question that was certainly based on the evidence, based on Ta-Nehisi Coates' own words. And Dokapil was disciplined by CBS News bosses for not being properly respectful of Coates because there was a revolt among the staffers, basically, it's how I understand it, at CBS News. So now you're talking about one of the major corporate outlets in the West, and this is how, forget even airing Coates's claptrap. you can't even ask a question about somebody that they have elevated to, deity status within their religion of identity politics.
Yeah, this treatment of Ta-Nehisi Coates as some kind of saintly figure, some kind of almost messianic style figure who has come to, I don't know, deliver white people from their feelings of guilt, or to open white eyes to the crimes of history, or whatever he thinks he's doing, and all his writing of the past few years. I find it so creepy and weird. And it's like a secular religion. There's a religiosity around him given to him by the establishment and by the corporate media in particular. And, he plays such a fascinating role, Coates, in modern American letters, because if you ever look at the audiences who turn up to listen to him, or I'm sure the people who buy his books but probably never read them, I mean, they are predominantly well-to-do white people. And he has this very strange symbiotic relationship between his writing and his views and his arguments and these fashionably guilt-ridden upper-class whites who love being told, how horrible their ancestors were and how horrible American history is and how it was born from the sin of slavery and so on. They love to hear all that. It's almost like a sadomasochistic relationship between Coates and his readership, his largely white readership. And I always want to say to these upper class whites, listen, a sex worker would abuse you for less money. You don't have to keep pumping money and buying all these books and attending all these festivals that Coates speaks at. But it doesn't surprise me one iota that Coates has now landed on the issue of Israel, because that has become the latest hot button issue for these virtue signaling classes. Increasingly, if you want access to the upper echelons of society, if you want to be part of the dinner party set, you have to wear a keffiyeh, you have to declare your pronouns, you have to hate Israel, you have to pity Palestine or pity Palestinians. These are absolutely requisite views that you must hold. These are the new luxury beliefs of the luxury class. And he's now landed on this issue and is dealing with it in the most infantile, cack-handed way, in this morally binary way where everything is black and white, and he has no understanding of the history of Israel or the truth about Israel. He's just pumping out more nonsense, more BS, and of course his upper-class readership are lapping it up, as they always do.
Brendan O'Neill, chief political writer, that is, at Spiked. The author of the book, A Heretic's Manifesto, Essays on the Unsayable, and, as he was mentioning, his new book, After the Pogrom. Brendan O'Neill, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our, turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
All right, those of you who wake up day after day with joint pain in your knees, maybe your shoulder, your hips, your back, well, guess what? If you've tried steroids over and over, daily doses of medication, those are just Band-Aids for the pain. Okay, you got to go. Hello. All right, it's back on. Let's talk about real lasting relief. Thousands of patients will tell you it is possible with help from QC Kinetics. People here in Chicago are reducing the inflammation, getting mobility back, and most importantly, getting their lives back. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies. This is what they do. They use your own body's healing properties, concentrated and carefully placed in your achy joint Folks, it's cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. The choice is yours. You could continue with the steroids and daily medications. You could pursue surgery and a long recovery that may or may not work, or you could see if you're a candidate for regenerative treatments. Find out with your free consultation at QC Kinetics. New locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. The number to call, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Kamala Harris is stuck in a media doom loop. Her internal polling must be telling her she needs to do more interviews. But when she does, things only get worse for her. Take her 60 Minutes interview. What a debacle. Harris didn't fall back on her old standby about coming from a middle-class family, but she did dodge the tough questions again. Whether it was immigration or how she'd pay for her economic programs, no answers were forthcoming. A great portion of the television segment consisted of correspondent Bill Whitaker editorializing over film of the conversation, as if to translate what Harris was saying into plain language. In the outtakes, results were, if possible, even worse. Harris identified Iran as America's greatest threat, completely ignoring China. The takeaway was clear, and it was damning. Kamala Harris isn't ready for prime time. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles, and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
On Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, speaking of books no one's going to read, like Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, as we were talking about, Bob Woodward's book, they'll just read the excerpts that are published in advance of the book's release, and then the little controversies they generate, and then people will buy it to be fashionable so they can put it on their coffee table, at least the ruling class types that Brendan O'Neill was talking about. But the Woodward book, and the excerpts that have been released have provided wonderful entertainment. Another instant classic from White House spokeswoman KJP at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:33, 53 degrees, and we're still watching Milton leaving Florida as a Category 1 storm, heading out into the Atlantic. Florida Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez moments ago saying they expected there to be immense devastation.
The tornadoes really were something of concern for us yesterday, all throughout yesterday. We were encouraging people to stay safe, to stay indoors. But as you saw, we're waking up this morning to all the devastation and all the damage.
Milton was packing 85-mile-an-hour winds after leaving a trail of damage across central Florida. Dr. Michael Brennan is director of the National Hurricane Center.
We still have these strong winds, heavy rainfall that are starting to pull away from the east coast of Florida, but still some dangerous conditions, especially from, say, Brevard County up through Cape Canaveral up to the Daytona Beach area.
Dozens have been rescued from Milton in the Tampa area. Tampa Fire Rescue Chief Barbara Tripp says there were many fires in the city, but it was not safe to send crews out.
So, of course, we did have to suspend services because of the wind. We had gust winds up to 85 miles per hour. And usually after 40, we, stopped the services. And during that time, we had 3 house fires.
Tampa's police chief says officers rescued several adults and young children from a home Wednesday night. Gray Bowl Rescue founder Brian Stern says the storm brought plenty of damage that he saw.
Last night was rough. It was definitely wet
It was definitely wet. It was definitely windy. As we know, the roof on the Trop got ripped off, and a lot of streets are flooded.
In St. Lucie County, officials say tornadoes ahead of Hurricane Milton killed at least 4. Former President Donald Trump planning to hold a major rally at Madison Square Garden later this month. Rally set for October 27th in New York City. Top negotiator for more than 30,000 striking Boeing workers says that union is ready to wait out the aircraft company. The Machinists Union has already been on strike for nearly a month after workers walked out, shutting down production of the 737 MAX, 767, and 777 jets. An antitrust lawsuit filed here in Chicago is accusing some 40 private colleges of conspiring to keep prices high for students with divorced or separated parents. The suit filed this week says schools including Harvard, Yale, and MIT require students applying for non-federal financial aid to disclose the assets of their non-custodial parents. 3 men were shot in the East Garfield Park neighborhood Wednesday afternoon. Police were called around 2 p.m. to a report of several shot in the 3200 block of West Maple. A 22-year-old shot self-transported from the scene to a nearby hospital. He had suffered multiple gunshot wounds to the back and died at a nearby hospital. Chicago alderman is using Robert's rules to protest Mayor Brandon Johnson's cancellation of the ShotSpotter contract. Yesterday at City Hall meetings, Alderman Anthony Beal used parliamentary maneuvers to stall each piece of legislation Johnson introduced yesterday.
You think I like deferring the stuff? But you know what I don't like? Canceling ShotSpotter when people are dying on the damn street.
Johnson dropped his plan then to veto an ordinance the city council passed last month, giving police superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new contract with ShotSpotter. Johnson has argued the ordinance is illegal. More than 80 Hoosiers serving on Indiana Task Force 1 are on standby for Hurricane Milton relief work. And Acero Charter School leaders are planning to close several schools in Chicago. The network voting last night to close 7 of their 15 schools. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees chaos hurting Harris.
Israeli military says Iran has fired missiles at Israel. This is not politically good for Kamala Harris.
Not at all.
I mean, and so you have dock worker chaos and then potential regional Middle East war. This plays into Donald Trump's benefit. Understand that the Biden-Harris regime has indirectly subsidized both sides.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code
Chicago. As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
741. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this look at the travel times is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% on dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify. Almostfreeteeth.com. Downers Grove report of an accident. Ogden and Authority. Carroll Stream report of an accident. Army Trail in Murbach. Wheaton an accident. Naperville Road and Butterfield Road. 8094 in Lake County, Northwest Indiana. Eastbounders, you're all jammed up between Burr and I-65. Veterans Memorial Toll. Brake lights northbound between I-55 and 63rd. Jane Addams jams up eastbound between Beverly Road and Meacham. Tri-State southbound accident right shoulder between the Hinsdale Oasis and the Stevenson Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Pleasant with plenty of sunshine today, a high near 73. Currently 53. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Oh, the October surprise. The Beltway talking heads are all abuzz over Bob Woodward's new book that has great reveals about Trump and Putin, about Biden's views on Bibi and Obama. Well, the first thing you have to understand, if you don't already, and I assume many in our listening audience do, is that Bob Woodward is not the pinnacle of journalism that he's presented as being by all these D.C. press corps toadies. Yeah, I got it, Watergate. But you're judged by, every stage of your work product, not just one moment in time. And over the years, just to refresh your recollection, over the years, Woodward has told some stories that are very difficult to substantiate and, in point of fact, have been pretty convincingly repudiated, debunked. Favorite word of the D.C. press corps these days. He was spreading misinformation. Oh, heavens. Remember he said the CIA director, he got a deathbed confession from Reagan CIA director Bill Casey that Casey knew that funds were being diverted from weapon sales to Iran, to the Contras in Nicaragua. Yeah, well, the problem is according to his daughter, for example, just one anecdote. There's a couple others. There's many, actually, that his daughter said, well, first of all, Dad had security, and none of the security guards let Woodward into the hospital room. So this deathbed confession. Secondly, when Woodward, because maybe he snuck in because Woodward is so cagey.
Yeah, put on a trench coat.
Yeah, and Groucho Marx glasses, and he got by security. Sure, that's possible. But Casey's daughter said, well, the period of time where Woodward said he got this deathbed confession from Bill Casey, Casey was unable to speak. So he must have, he must
sign language or
signed it, with the blinking of his eyes or something. Anyway, that's one. Actually, just on the entertainment beat, Dan Aykroyd and others repudiated the biography that Bob Woodward did on John Belushi, saying that the stories that he told, some of the stories that he told about Belushi were completely fabricated. So, and there are many instances of this. And sometimes something comes out and people say, I don't like that. It doesn't cast me in a good light. So they say it's fabricated. I get that it goes a lot of different ways. But what I'm saying is that Woodward is not beyond reproach by any stretch. So, that's the background through which you have to consider these salacious experts from Woodward's new book about Trump sending COVID testing kits to Putin and even on the Biden stuff, too. Like, for example, one excerpt, Woodward describes a scene between father and son at the White House in the spring of 2022. The president was having dinner with a friend when Hunter Biden came in, sat down, and began talking about why he was the person with the most to lose from the midterm elections. Woodward writes, Hunter rambled on about his personal crises. President Biden leaned back in his chair, closed his eyes, and sighed. Okay.
All right.
Maybe that happened. Maybe it didn't. I don't know.
What does it mean?
Well, I mean, if that were true, then you would say, well, okay, well, that means that means that Biden had requisite knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings, which we all, of course, know he did, but he is denied. Unless he was just leaning back and sighing, thinking to himself, this is the smartest man I know. Maybe he was thinking that. Maybe not. Anyway, it all sets up for what's really entertaining, at least to me. All this Woodward stuff is just, this will dissipate into the ether very quickly. But KJP is forever, really.
The worst press secretary in the history of our existence.
And I was saying at the beginning of the show, Phil Wegman, who does a good job as political reporter for RealClearPolitics.com, he's sort of overshadowed by the flashier Peter Doocy. But Wegman is great because he comes across as sort of he's like underdog. He's like the humble and lovable little press guy, but he asks very pointed questions and he has his ducks in a row so he can very politely walk someone who is ill-prepared, when it comes to things like thinking and speaking cogently. Mm-hmm. Someone like KJP can walk her right into a corner. He did a great job earlier in the day I guess that was actually later in the day, with President Biden. He got Biden essentially to undermine the messaging of Kamala when it comes to DeSantis and the hurricane response. Take a listen.
Mr. President, does Governor DeSantis need to take Vice President Harris's calls?
All I can tell you is I'm talking to Governor DeSantis. He's been very gracious. He's thanked me for all we've done. He knows what we're doing, and I think that's important.
Can you say that Florida has...
Nicely done. Okay. Wegman's got the story. Well, he's got the story again on KJP as it relates to this Woodward book. This is great. This is a great exchange.
This is going to be a good one.
Remember, KJP is a person of standards. And one of the things she doesn't do is speculate. She's not a speculator. She's facts.
Yeah, she's got the binder of facts right in front of her every day.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She colors right inside the line. She is Joe Friday. Just the facts. She doesn't speculate except when she does. And she doesn't speculate about national security except when she does.
Thank you, Greg. You're pretty consistent. You don't often speculate about hypotheticals. but today on more than one occasion, you've said that if it's true that former President Trump spoke with Vladimir Putin, then that's concerning.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, why is this administration willing to speculate about that in particular?
I said if it's true.
Speculation.
It's speculation, but if it's true, because I knew, right? We all knew that you all will have questions about for us about the national security concerns, about our thoughts about this, and so if it is indeed true, right? We're talking about President Putin here. We see what's happening in Ukraine, Russia's aggression in Ukraine. That's about democracy. That's about Ukrainians fighting for their freedom. And we've heard the former president say and lobby against the funding for Ukraine. So yeah, if it is true, it is indeed concerning because we're talking about our national security here. So I want it to be very, very clear. And so I'll leave it there.
And then a second question.
Sure.
Does President Biden regret making Merrick Garland his Attorney General, as Mr. Woodward has reported?
Look, the reason I'm able to speculate, because that's a national security concern, I wanted to be very clear about that. But as I've stated many times before, there's going to be many books written about an administration. It's very much typical. And I'm just not going to comment on every specifics, every matter that comes up or any particulars that come up.
And then a national security question.
Yeah.
Mr. Woodward also reports that according to intelligence reports, White House officials here believed that there was as much of a 50% chance that Russia would use a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine. I mean, is that 50% odds number? Is that accurate? And if so, would this administration, let the American public know that that kind of risk is real?
Again, I'm not going to speak to everything that is in a book, every particular. There's going to be many books written, and we understand that. It's not atypical, but I won't respond to every piece in the book. All right, guys,
Okay,
gotta
bye.
go. Thank
I'm
you
an
so much.
idiot. I gotta run now. I gotta run away.
Can I have my binder?
I had to speculate about Trump and Putin because that's a national security issue. What about Merrick Garland? I can't speculate about that. Technically, I would say that is a national security issue, too. I mean, the Attorney General is charged with things like prosecuting terrorism, terrorist cases. So it is national. But anyway, okay. Well, so that's not national. Okay, well, what about this national security issue? The possibility that the Iranians would use nukes. Well, I can't speculate on every national security issue. She is just a delight. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. And that's the sum total of my concern about Bob Woodward's book.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
As we near retirement age, market volatility can have an enormous impact on our lives. It's one thing if the market drops when you're 29 or 39, but if you're 59 or 69, it's a totally different story. Call us at the Wealth Management Group today, and we can help you create a plan to safeguard your nest egg in the event of market drops. Our number, 833-WMG-PLAN or invest with WMG.com.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Think I'm going to do it sooner rather than later, and that's take Balance of Nature. I take it to get energy because I don't have enough fruits and veggies on my own, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules a day. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies, and I love it. And if you have a sweet tooth during the day and you want to grab a cookie or a candy bar, just grab one of those fruit capsules and chew on that. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. Order your fruits and veggies today, your veggie supplements, by calling this number, 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35%.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at PragerCruise.com.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers, this one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at WaukeganRoofing.com. WaukeganRoofing.com.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job. And Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance. And Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Wolters Kluwer DXG US Incorporated seeks product software engineer 3 in Chicago, Illinois to develop web applications as part of the patient-facing development team. Telecommuting permitted. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 57083. Again, Wolters Kluwer DXG US Incorporated seeks product software engineer 3 in Chicago, Illinois. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 57083.
AM 560, The Answer.
I almost didn't believe this story was real. Kansas professor in the Department of Health, Sport, and Exercise Science, KU, Jayhawks.
Thank God I almost sent. Well, my youngest almost went there. He was looking at it. Glad we didn't go.
His name is Philip Lowcock.
Come on.
Hey.
Philip Lowcock.
That's the professor's name. And this is what the professor said to the class. I mean, it stripped right out of a Charles Dickens novel.
Guys are smarter than girls. You got some serious problems. That's what frustrates me. There are going to be some males in our society that will refuse to vote for a potential female president because they don't think females are smart enough to be president. We could line all those guys up and shoot them. They clearly don't understand the way the world works. Did I say that? Scratch that from the recording. I don't want the deans hearing that I said that.
Why are you out of breath?
So
Professor, why are you out of breath? What are you doing?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's the tolerant left again.
Oh, God, whatever.
Well, come on.
Whatever.
I'm sick of hearing that for years and years, and all they do is if you have a different opinion, they go after you and they try to take away your livelihood.
That guy couldn't harm anybody. That P-hat, please. I know he's been put on administrative leave because Kansas takes those sorts of references to violence so seriously.
It's pending further investigation.
Please.
Well, the instructor offers his sincerest apologies and deeply regrets the situation. Dan, his intent was to emphasize his advocacy for women's rights and equity.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And he recognizes he did a very poor job of doing so.
It's fine. No apology necessary. It's fine. Everything's fine. No investigation necessary. It's fine. My response to Philip Lowcock is his name is Philip Lowcock.
And he has to live with that for the rest of his life.
May he live forever. Long live Philip Lowcock!
No, just long live Lowcock, okay?
Coming up at 8:08, America's crime problem. In some communities, is it more of a disorder problem than a crime problem? We'll distinguish between the two with Charles Lehman from the Manhattan Institute at 8:08.
Kamala Harris is called into the Weather Channel to tell them how to do their job. This is good. But now, sorry, let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Chicago aldermen are calling for a meeting with the full school board. Chicago aldermen also protest the mayor's cancellation of ShotSpotter yesterday at City Hall. A man charged after guns were found at Trump Tower in Chicago. 3 Bears players missed practice in London, while Freeman Liberty signs with the Bulls. WIND, Chicago News Time, 8.
Still assessing what Hurricane Milton did to Florida. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We will better understand the extent of the damage as the day progresses.
Governor Ron DeSantis says Milton, still a hurricane, keeps moving away after crossing the state.
First responders have been working all through the night to help people who are in distress.
There have been dozens of people rescued. Florida Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie just said,
"This was not the worst case scenario. We still had damage. And we're going to need to get out there and go door to door and make sure that everyone is okay. So please stay off the road."
There are more than 3 million power outages still. And even though Milton's storm surge was not as high as feared, there is widespread flooding.
We have a lot of rain that has fallen over the central portion of Florida.
With more to come, and as rivers rise, there's also a lot of tornado damage, especially in St. Lucie County, where at least 4 deaths are reported as crews search for more victims. Milton hit 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene caused widespread devastation. Former President Trump very critical of the federal response, and in Pennsylvania, he blamed his campaign rival, Vice President Harris.
She's just led the worst rescue operation in history in North Carolina. The worst.
President Biden's pushing back on what he calls misinformation.
Quite frankly, these lies are un-American, and there's simply no place for them. Not now, not ever.
We just got an update on inflation, consumer prices for September.
So the expectation was 0.1% upside. Month over month, we came in up 0.2. The expectation year over year up 2.3. We came in up 2.4.
That's Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni. The 2.4 rate is a tenth less than August's annual inflation. And that lower inflation means Social Security recipients will get a smaller cost of living increase next year, just announced at 2.5%. First time unemployment claims surged last week, more than 10%, up to 258,000, the most since early August of last year. America's listening to Fox News.
53 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Tension high between members of the Chicago City Council and Mayor Brandon Johnson yesterday over the state of the city's school board.
It was said that the current members of the board, as well as those that you appointed, would come to the meeting. Now, I urge you, in your authority, as the person who's appointed the board members as well as the new board members. You want me to exercise my authority? Absolutely.
The council was supposed to hold a special meeting yesterday on Johnson's overhaul of the board, but it was canceled when no school board members showed up. Illinois is sending emergency workers to help in response and recovery efforts to Hurricane Milton, and more than 80 Hoosiers will serve Indiana as Task Force 1 is on standby for Milton relief. Acero Charter School leaders planning to close several schools in Chicago. The Charter School Network voted last night to close 7 of their 15 schools. Jury selection continues in the racketeering trial of former Illinois House Speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan. State Representative Patrick Windhorst says the jury pool's already been whittled down.
From that 1,000 or so that they had sent summonses to, they condensed it down to under 200 who did not have some indication on where they were leaning with the case already.
With 3 jurors selected, Judge John Robert Blanky accepted a waiver from Madigan's co-defendant, Michael McLean, requesting McLean not be required to be present for every moment of that trial. The Bears getting a bit healthier. Just 2 players missed practice yesterday in London ahead of their Sunday matchup with Jacksonville. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. QuickDelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Delta Airlines shares are slumping. Its earnings and revenue were both weaker than expected in the recent quarter. The CrowdStrike IT outage in July made a big dent in its earnings, and Delta was also impacted by Hurricane Helene. Delta says it expects travel demand to slow at the end of the year because of the election and because businesses are seeing more moderate growth. TD Bank is facing $3 billion in penalties in the U.S. It's accused of failing to monitor money laundering by drug cartels. The Canadian bank is likely to face restrictions on how much it can expand in the U.S. 7-Eleven's parent company, Japan-based 7 & I, has slashed its profit outlook and is restructuring. Its recent earnings declined 35% from a year ago. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates and by Valdecas Incorporated, Windows and Doors.
I have done in my career literally thousands of joint replacements.
Meet Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, National Medical Director at QC Kinetics, an acclaimed orthopedic surgeon who now advises patients try all they can do to avoid the knife and consider regenerative medicine.
I myself was able to continue skiing for 10 years after my knees started to be a problem because I accessed regenerative medicine.
Now, after 20 years of study, research, teaching, publications, and clinical experience, Dr. Scheinkup is regarded as one of America's true pioneers.
This is the future of medicine.
Dr. Scheinkup came to QC Kinetics after seeing what they were doing around the country, helping tens of thousands of patients get lasting relief from joint pain with no surgery and no drugs.
QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible to get 100% of your smile back, saving an average of about 90%. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. The Kennedy, 85 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Accident right shoulder outbound on the Kennedy. Approaching Canfield, solid traffic on the Ike inbound through the avenues, 77 from 390 into the old post office. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Nice day today, lots of sun. High today 73, clear tonight and a low 54. Partly sunny, breezy, warmer day tomorrow, the high at 84. Partly sunny with a passing shower, cooler Saturday, the high 67. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Sunshine in 53. Next news 8:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Keep Portland weird, but not too weird. Not the weird mess that it became. That's what residents of Portland, that's what they decided. Throwing out their entire government structure, replacing it with a weak mayor form of government, expanded city council, and ranked choice voting. As a Politico reports, a major driving factor was the passage of Measure 110, decriminalizing all drugs back in 2020, which was then backed by 3/4 of Multnomah County residents. What they didn't anticipate, and of course should have, but they're leftists. They have to get mugged by reality. There's no forethought. They didn't anticipate how the policy change would reshape a city. This is Politico's generous characterization, by the way. Would reshape a city already strapped for money, dealing with a public health crisis, and confronting rising rates of homelessness and fentanyl abuse. So what happened? Drug use shot up, homelessness worsened, and taxpayers fled. It was a perfect storm, said one city council member. Yeah. Who could have anticipated it? It was a natural disaster. It just happened.
That they created.
Now there are 19 people running for mayor, 98 people seeking seats on the city council. They're nearly all, Political reports, are campaigning on left of center platforms. Sure, because they're not. They have to. This is the same thing Kamala does. You just separate yourself from things that you're partly responsible for, but didn't turn out well. Pretend that doesn't exist. Hey, that's not an indictment of my underlying political philosophy or policy views. No, of course not. Poor execution, wasn't big enough, need some structural changes, something was unanticipated, something happened to us through no fault of our own, all the excuses. But nonetheless, the underlying reality is the reality. And people on the outside looking in for a case study, Portland's a good one. It's not just violent crime or crime in general. It's also the disorder associated with how big city America is governed, and even medium city America. That's an insight from Charles Lehman, who's a fellow at the Manhattan Institute working primarily on policing and public safety initiative. He's also contributing editor to City Journal. He joins us now. Charles, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
I know you wrote about Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is another interesting case study I want you to develop. But boy, that is something. I mean, if the residents of Portland, Oregon can try to make somewhat of a course correction, then maybe there's hope for New York and Chicago and L.A. and San Francisco.
Yeah, and I'll say in defense of Portland, they were throwing out the commission system, which is, nobody uses a commission system anymore. It's a very silly system of government. But no, I think that's right. And it speaks to the salience of crime and disorder in political life. You can be the most left-wing of left-wing cities, and still, when crime and disorder go up, there are going to be consequences from voters. Even there, people do not like having to deal with disorder walking down the streets. They do not like having to see the crime rates go up.
And they do like their money, too. And you don't get a great return on investments you make, for example, owning a home in these big cities when everybody's fleeing and having to dodge homeless people, the mentally ill, piles of feces, those sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Multnomah County shrunk rapidly in the immediate wake of 2020. And that's not really surprising when they had a massive defund the police movement and also decided that there will be no consequences for smoking fentanyl on the street. You know, I went to Portland in, I think 2022, while Measure 110 was still in effect, to look at it. And the thing that I saw is that the degree of uncontrolled public drug use was worse than almost anywhere else I have been. You know, I saw a guy smoking fentanyl in front of a police officer who I was going around with. That's where things were in Portland. That's why they want to change.
And so, I mean, and so tell us about Chattanooga too, and this disorder problem, as you characterize it, that, you know, people sort of disorder and crime, they sort of conflate under the heading crime to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I've written about Chattanooga, which is obviously a small city in Tennessee that is not a far left city. You know, it's a little more progressive than the surrounding area, but didn't have a big defund movement. And there too, they had a serious violent crime problem. And, you know, we, the Manhattan Institute, did some polling in Chattanooga, showed that people were still very worried about crime. And what I said was, look, I think that they basically gotten their serious violent crime problem under control using smart, effective policing. Due to a decline in police staffing, which a lot of cities are dealing with right now, they have less leftover capacity to deal with what we think about as the small stuff, what we think about as, you know, disorder, people using drugs in public, people sleeping on the street, loud noises, people playing their music too loud, graffiti, trash, etc. Those little things that end up meaning a great deal for the quality of life and functioning of a community.
And they come and you can actually sort of measure this in a sense, because you measure in part you measure this from your piece that I read at the Free Beacon. You look at, for example, non-emergency calls to police that mention some of these problems that would fall under the heading disorder.
Yes. So I looked at 311 calls, and those show notable increases in calls mentioning phrases like trash, refuse, etc. Same thing, calls related to homelessness grew significantly in Chattanooga. Although, as I allude to in that piece, it's not just Chattanooga. I found the same thing in trends in Washington, D.C., and I'm in the process of trying to get data from more places. And I think, although it's not everywhere, there are serious problems with petty crime, disorder, trash, etc. in a number of different municipalities across the country.
I love Chattanooga, but last time I went there, I saw so many homeless people. I was shocked, and they're all in that town square there. Did you see the same thing?
Yes, no, absolutely. And I think...
What are they going to do about that before that town gets trashed?
You know, I think the city is starting to recognize that that's a problem. They have to some extent leaned into, you know, we need to rehouse people. We need to prioritize their interests. And my response is, look, you know, local Chattanooga residents, people, homeless residents who are from Chattanooga, you have a responsibility to. But it seems like a lot of people just kind of came into town one day because they could or because they were pushed out of other places. And it's not always a bad thing to just buy somebody a bus ticket, figure out where they'll be better off.
The perception people have, you know, across the fruited plains about crime generally since the height of it in a 30-year height of it, at least in 2020. How has that changed over the last few years? Because I know you have the administration continuing to argue that crime is down, and it's not really in places like Chicago. Certainly not if you look at Class X felonies generally. But people's perception of it and how much this disorder component plays into their overall perception.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's right. You know, in the big aggregate, the problem that we had over the past 4 years was homicides and shootings. And I do think that in total that's come down, which doesn't mean it's come down everywhere. Mm-hmm. Chicago's an interesting case where you guys are seeing homicide come down, but things like rape and robbery are going up. A similar trend is happening in New York. There's a lot of variation. You know, nobody lives in the aggregate. That said, I think we are, in general, in a better place than we were 2 years ago, but also that there is this independent trend where I suspect in part for reasons like what happened in Chattanooga, where cops have focused in on, finally, you know, people have given cops the latitude to focus on these serious homicide problems. With fewer cops on the beat, this other stuff is falling by the wayside. There's just much less prioritization of petty disorder. And disorder is the kind of crime that you and I see every day, right? Look, realistically, you're probably not going to be killed in a homicide. I'm not going to be murdered, but I am likely to see somebody smoking drugs on the street or yelling or playing the music too loud or graffitiing or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, in some cities, you could see people smoking drugs in the mayor's office. So yeah, right.
What about retail theft?
Yeah, I think that there is a real problem, and it shows up in the data. We, the Manhattan Institute, have done some interesting work on the challenges of measuring shoplifting, but I think that in general, there's good reason to believe that it's up substantially in a number of different places. I just looked at data that shows retail theft is up in Portland, but also in Detroit, where people are not even talking about the retail theft issue. I think that's another example of, you are much more likely to see somebody smash and grab some stuff from the store than you are to see somebody shot at. That affects you much more, even though we think about it as less of a significant offense.
Well, the other thing too is that, just in terms of perception, a perception that is commonsensical and belies an underlying reality, the perception of sort of general lawlessness. And it can take many forms, but when you have high-profile incidents, like we were talking a bit earlier in the program about former New York Governor David Paterson and his stepson being beaten by a group of teenagers while out walking their dog, the problems that New York City has had, high-profile, terrible cases, murders in the subway system. I mean, those sorts of things people internalize, and it gives them an indication of sort of generally what the culture is in the moment.
Right. Well, and, I think to go back to the point about disorder, there's this response that you get that, disorder isn't a big deal and it's just part of urban life and why are you worried about it anyway? My response is what offends us about disorderly behavior is that disorder is the definition I like to use is disorder is the domination of public spaces for private purposes. It's taking what is supposed to be shared by everybody and using it just for your own purposes, for playing your music, for doing your art, for whatever. And that offends our sense of, municipal civic fairness, that this is supposed to be ours, this is supposed to be everybody's. And, to get back to the point about culture, I think when we see this kind of behavior, we feel that the city is no longer ours. And I think it's right to be upset about that.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you could use the equity argument right back against all of these equity vanguard types because I mean, who loses when the public spaces become what you're describing? It's not people with the means to pull up and go somewhere else or go somewhere else for half the year or whatever. It's people that are law-abiding, but otherwise, because of family or job or what have you, they are, stuck in a place like Chicago. They don't have those options. So the people that are on the lower rungs of the economic ladder are disproportionately negatively impacted.
Absolutely. The same argument was advanced when we talked about defunding the police. The rich will always be able to afford to set themselves apart in safe enclaves. The idea of city life, in many senses, is that we as a society benefit when there are shared spaces, when there are places where people can meet and collaborate and innovate, and that are for everybody. But if they're going to be for everybody, then everybody has to follow the same rules. And when they don't, then people will stop wanting to be in those spaces.
And what is Chattanooga doing about the disorder problem that they have? How are they trying to address it?
I think that they are trying to step up their levels of police officers. They're trying to hire more cops. They're still sort of figuring out, my goal with this report was to basically say to them, hey, this is your problem. This is why your citizens are upset.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be receptive, but, that's on them.
Yeah, hiring more cops. That's interesting. Chicago's doing the opposite. I wonder how that's going to go for Chicago. Charles Lehman, fellow at the Manhattan Institute, working primarily on the Policing and Public Safety Initiative, also contributing editor at City Journal. Charles, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Or you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Dan Proft here for Northridge Prep. Northridge Prep is a great place to be a boy. What does that mean exactly? In short, it's thanks to a foundation of an all-boys environment that builds your son up into a man of intellect and character who loves God. The teachers and faculty members become mentors to students. And when you combine that with an atmosphere that is fun, competitive, and challenging, it creates an exceptional experience for your son. The result is the boys love Northridge. They've been educating boys for nearly 50 years. One of the things that stands out is their commitment to partnering with parents. You hear this a lot with schools, but at Northridge, the parents can't stop talking about it because it's authentic, and they've built a community that really works together. Raising kids is difficult these days. At Northridge, you can be confident your son is on the right path. They're having an open house on Sunday, October 20th for boys in grades 6 through 12. You can register at northridgeprep.org. Again, their open house, Northridge Prep Open House, Sunday, October 20th. And you can register if your son is in grades or coming into grade 6 or 12, 6 through 12. northridgeprep.org is where you register.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a Balance of Nature now for quite some time. And she said, oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking Balance of Nature. So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, oh, try it.
You know, Balance of Nature is becoming pretty important out there to a lot of people. And when I first started, I was really impressed. I'm a healthcare professional, trained as a pharmacist, so anything that's natural I like, and so it made a lot of sense.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
AM 560, The Answer.
Let's take a quick call or two, talking about crime and disorder. Jim in Western Springs.
Yeah, hi. This famous quote from Mayor Daley, the first one. The police are not here to create disorder. They are here to preserve disorder.
Exactly right. Yes. Thanks for the call, Jim. And they
never gets old.
And the other infamous shoot to maim looters, shoot to kill arsonists.
Yep. During the 68 riots.
Yeah.
I was 5 years old back then.
Please don't shoot to maim. Brian in Evansville.
Yes, good morning, guys. I keep on hearing about how crime is going down in Chicago. You cannot compare crime of 2024 to crime to, like, say, for instance, 1984, because you know what? you had 300,000 more people in Chicago back in the 80s. So, of course, crime is going to go down if half your population is fleeing. Thanks for hearing me.
Thanks for the call, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Call in anytime.
Sure, it's true in aggregate numbers. I mean, this is, you look at it on a per capita basis, but your point is well taken that, the big cities are running out of victims. I mean, it's sort of a sad way to look at it, but the flight is unmistakable. Just ask those Acero charter school parents about flight from the city and how that impacts their quality of life and the educational opportunities for their kids.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, pollsters, we be wary of the 2024 election polls. I don't think you have to persuade anybody of that, but we'll talk a little bit about the numbers with Carly Cooperman. She's a Democrat pollster, CEO of the Schoen Cooperman Research firm and co-author of America, Unite or Die. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Carly joins us at 8:38.
And she skipped the briefing on Hurricane Helene, and now she's calling into the Weather Channel to tell them how to do their jobs. Yes, we'll have that Kamala call for you a little bit later. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
It is 8:30 on AM 560. The Answer. Milton made landfall Wednesday night as a powerful Category 3 storm. Congressman from Florida, Greg Steube, was right in the middle of it.
It was, I mean, the eye of the hurricane went right over us. So you had a 100-mile-an-hour wind going one way, and then after the eye pass, you had a 100-mile-an-hour wind going the opposite way. So a lot of rain before that.
A flash flood emergency continues at this hour for portions of west central Florida. Chief Financial Officer of Florida, Jimmy Patronis, urging people to let officials begin the recovery process.
Look, if you don't have to be home today, take your time. You know what? Do you want to go and rush back home where you may not have access to electricity, clean water, gas, or food? Let our first responders do their jobs.
The storm has left more than 3 million without power after coming on shore earlier at Siesta Key, just south of Sarasota. Fort Myers, Florida Mayor Kevin Anderson praising Governor Ron DeSantis for preparing for the storm.
The governor is always very supportive when these storms happen, and when it comes to a disaster, he is a great leader.
Milton has since been downgraded to a Category 1 hurricane off the east coast of Florida now, winds at about 80 miles an hour. The Justice Department this morning says it may ask a judge to break up Google's search engine from other parts of that company. Anti-obesity medications could soon be employer covered. Employees can learn whether they'll have it for the coming year during open enrollment. GLP-1 drugs like Wegovy have become extremely popular since coming on the market because of how effective they are at treating both diabetes and obesity. 3 men were shot in the East Garfield Park neighborhood Wednesday afternoon and 1 died. A 22-year-old man self-transported to an area hospital. He had suffered multiple gunshot wounds to the back and died at a nearby hospital. Jury selection continues in the Mike Madigan trial. 3 jurors were chosen yesterday. Embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is suing village trustees. ABC 7 reporting Henyard and trustees Andrew Holmes and Staley Brown filed suit accusing other trustees of illegally holding a meeting this week. Bears remain focused on the city's lakefront as the location for a nearly $5 billion stadium development project. Team president and CEO Kevin Warren met with reporters Wednesday in London.
We have an opportunity in Chicago to really think creatively out. We have a piece of land. I still argue it's the most beautiful piece of land in the world, with the lake, with the downtown, with the museum campuses. And what can we do to be able to pull all that together in and around the museum campuses, downtown, the lake, a football stadium, green space? And so I look at it as an opportunity.
Warren held court outside London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as the Bears prep for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were delayed getting out of Florida this morning. Bulls bringing in a little backcourt competition, signing guard Javon Freeman-Liberty yesterday to a deal. Blackhawks gearing up for their second game of the season tomorrow, visiting Winnipeg. Playoff baseball, Mets took down Philadelphia. They're on their way to the NLCS. Dodgers beat the Padres. Tigers shut out Cleveland. And the Yankees beat the Royals. 8:33 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Larry Elder sees the media working for Harris.
We've played you many sound bites of people on the left, media people saying, well, it doesn't really matter that she's not sitting down and doing interviews. Why? Well, Trump. Well, it doesn't really matter that we don't know her economic agenda. Why? Well, Trump. This is just sick. And how a Republican can exist with a media this unfair, you have got to be kidding me.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Few understand the impact this election may have on their retirement savings. In less than 30 days, our entire economy could face a monumental shift that could destroy a huge amount of value many Americans have stored in their 401ks or IRAs. In times like these, the most trusted store of wealth in human history stands out: physical gold and silver. Many Americans have looked to True Gold Republic for help. They specialize in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other retirement accounts convert their stocks and bonds into physical gold and silver to protect their hard-earned savings. True Gold is offering listeners a free copy of their Election Gold Protection Kit today. To claim yours, call 800-300-GOLD. This information is free and might very well save your comfortable retirement. By acting before the election, you can still make a tax and penalty-free conversion with the help of True Gold's award-winning team. Call 800-300-GOLD. That's 800-300-GOLD. True Gold Republic is not a financial advisor. Consult with your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-300-GOLD.
Hey AM 560 homeowners, are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Bank of America. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America NA, copyright 2024. Eden's right now outbound worse than the inbound side. It's well over a half hour. On the Eden's outbound, Montrose to Lake Cook Road back in is only 21 to the junction. Kennedy right now at 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. You've got stop-and-go traffic on the outbound side between Montrose and Sayre. Ike on the inbound side, solid through the avenues. Right now, it's just about 80 minutes, 390 into the old post office. They're clearing an accident on the Dan Ryan inbound, right at Cermak. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Plenty of sunshine, a pleasant day ahead, high 73. Sunny and 57 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know, I don't dismiss polls out of hand, as some are wont to do, but I certainly understand why some are wont to do it. Every day, you see competing headlines. Harris jumps into lead. Harris increases lead. And in a different outlet on the same day, different polling outfit. Trump takes lead in battleground states.
Oh,
Trump
sub-
expands lead in this state or that state.
I know. It's enough to make your head spin, and I don't know which pollsters to believe.
Well, so there is value to it. I mean, I've used it on campaigns over 2 decades of being involved in campaigns. Give you snapshots in time. The crosstabs are particularly interesting to me, much more so than the registered voter for sure, but even national likely voter numbers with the popular vote. I mean, it's a state-by-state election. I don't even know why there's a conversation about that. It's not that interesting, except maybe to compare it to say, like, if this is happening nationally, how can this be happening in certain battleground states? But to do that effectively, you have to look at the crosstabs. And interestingly, so I've been making this case for a while that the crosstabs in a lot of these polls are incongruous with the suggestion about what the top line dynamic is. And I'm not the only one. Mark Penn, Hillary Clinton's former pollster, the Times Siena poll shows Harris up 3 nationally within the margin of error, but losing to Trump by 14 points in Florida. Newsflash, they can't both be right. It would be paradoxical for Harris to be up with seniors nationally and down with Floridians. Florida has high concentrations of seniors and Latinos, and if Trump is winning those groups, he is sweeping Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Arizona. The state polls and national polls have to be in sync, and I can't say which one is right, but one or both are off base. Well, then that's what I've been saying, too. We had the discussion the other day about the numbers. If you look at the crosstabs and some of the polling, Trump's numbers with black voters, Trump's numbers with Latino voters, Trump's spread among the non-college educated, particularly as compared to 4 years ago against Biden, all are significantly better. And yet he's down. How exactly? I don't think they're the numbers to make up his improvement with those cohorts from 4 years ago. And interestingly, here we go again. Quinnipiac yesterday finds Trump up 3 points in Michigan and up 2 points in Wisconsin. The other thing, too, is there's just not that many undecided voters. So, there's at some point it seems like it's a sawing of sawdust because this is going to be a contest to see who can turn out their base plus a little bit. But that's my view. Let's get the view of another pollster. She is Carly Cooperman, Democrat pollster, CEO of Schoen Cooperman Research, and co-author of America, Unite or Die. Carly Cooperman, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So, so these incongruities that I mentioned, Mark Penn sees one with the Times Siena polling. I see one with multiple polls where the crosstabs don't seem to support the underlying top line.
Yeah, I think that everybody in this field right now acknowledges that all of these polls are more or less amounting to something that's showing things within the margin of error. There's no way to have a clear understanding of somebody strongly being in the lead right now. The swing state polls in particular, you're absolutely right. One day we see Trump up by 1 or 2 points in Pennsylvania. The next day we see a poll that has Harris up by 1 or 2 points. And so I think that every person at this point is throwing their hands up and saying that there is no clear advantage right now for either candidate in these swing states, which is what matters. To your point, whereas, there's a little bit more consensus around Harris having a small lead in the national polls, but that's not how the elections are won. And the other thing I think is worth noting is that Biden won by the popular vote by a little over 4 points a few years ago, and therefore these polls that show Harris with a margin of 2 or 3 points in the national average, if all stays the same, that does not translate to her winning in the election. When you calculate the electoral vote.
Well, let's get into that. Well, what are some variations between swing state polls and national polls?
Yeah, well, so what happens is just the way the Electoral College works and literally the sheer math, the belief is that Harris would need to win in the national polls or have a margin that's at least 4 points or greater in order for that to translate for an electoral college victory based on the swing states. Now, in the swing states, the way the math works, it seems like almost certainly Harris would need to win in these blue wall states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, if she is going to be successful. She appears close in some of the Sun Belt states, but those states are ones that ultimately Trump seems to have a little bit more of an advantage in. So, it's very possible that there's just an outcome where Harris has a small win ultimately when the votes are tallied across the country, but that still loses the election based on the math that comes out of the electoral votes in terms of the individual states.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wonder if that's what the Harris Walz campaign is feeling too, because reports about Tim Walz whining about the Electoral College and we need to have a national popular vote election at some fundraiser on the West Coast.
Yeah, he's at Gavin Newsom's house.
So why you're complaining about that now? That's sort of, it's not exactly a center cut issue. So I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a tell.
Yeah, look, every 4 years, we have the same conversation that's like, how do we actually elect our president? And, is this crazy or not? But it hasn't changed. It's absolutely been the same. And it really, this is why, for better or for worse, it comes down to a handful of states that are not decided. Now, some place like Florida, for instance, the voter registration that's taken place in the last year, Republicans at this point have a greater than 10-point advantage in terms of party registration in Florida. And, when you hear conversations, for instance, about this becoming a closer race, I don't think Florida is a state where there's really a question about who is going to win there. And a lot of states are more clear-cut in that way, and that's why it does come down just to a few states. And at this point, what is maybe 4 or 5% of the electorate of people who call themselves undecided. I do think opinions are largely baked in at this point, and especially of Trump, who people know and have their opinions of, and who has been on the national stage for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that what you're really trying to figure out is what the turnout's going to be, and this is what the campaign's job is too. As I said, is you turn out their base and plus, but plus the leaners. And and so if you and for polling purposes, if you have the size and composition of the turnout wrong, then of course, well, this is where your margin of error comes in. But depending on how wrong you are, it could, the margin of error could be quite large. And this, to some extent, just sort of from an econometric perspective, explains the differences because, not all pollsters are modeling the expected turnout the same way.
No, that's exactly right, and that's the thing that is often missed in these polls. In particular, it makes me think about in 2020 in the state of Florida, because what happened was all of the polls were wrong because people did not realize that the Republican turnout advantage was going to be as great as it was, and therefore all these polls had Republican turnout maybe 5 points greater, and then they had Biden winning, but then when you saw what actually happened and the turnout was so different and the Republican advantage was so strong, if you had weighed the polls to that kind of Republican advantage, then it would have showed Trump winning. So I think one of the hardest things as a pollster is trying to figure out what turnout will look like. And that is why people call these polls snapshots in times. And, you're studying past voting behavior, you're studying voter registration in the state, you're using a lot of different questions to try to get at the likelihood of people to vote. But polls are certainly imperfect, and historically it has been harder to reach people who say they're going to vote for Trump. And these are all things that factor into why there really is no certainty about, especially in these close states, about who is going to win.
And then, and now both candidates are doing podcasts that perhaps a lot of people have never heard of. And they're like, well, why is Kamala doing this one? Why did Trump do the flagrant podcast? I think it is. I don't even know that one. But anyway, the point is to say, well, because they cater to slices of the electorate that where the competing candidates need to try to juice the enthusiasm among perhaps non-consistent voters, younger people in particular.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And look, from Harris's perspective, she's trying to do, a media blitz that is covering everything, like both some of the more traditional news outlets like a 60 Minutes, but then also some of these podcasts, like one that is supposed to be really big with women because she has a huge advantage among women and women do turn out. And so she's trying to lean in there. That's a play at her base. But then also this idea that, she is weaker with men and with young men in particular. That's a group that is thought to be largely supportive of Trump. And so she's also trying to make inroads with that group if there are people who are undecided there. And whereas, you see Trump, who he knows his strengths and he certainly is leaning into them, but he's also trying to capture voters that maybe don't really like him, but they might trust him more in the economy and kind of taking advantage of the fact that Harris is less known and that people don't feel as certain as they do about Trump in terms of her positions.
What do you make of Trump veering off the battleground map to the blue states? I mean, he's coming to Chicago here on Tuesday. He's going to have a big event at Madison Square Garden in New York. I mean, these are states that he's going to Colorado and he's going to California.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, look, he talks a lot about crowd size. He's going to places where he wants to fill stadiums and fill arenas and, show that there's this large amount of support for him. This is an ongoing kind of dialogue that he's had and, that him and Harris have gone back and forth about. And so I think it's interesting. I mean, look, he's also, I think, visited Wisconsin 4 times recently, and, he knows the states where things are really important, but I do think he's also trying to make this appeal to people, to just show that there's tremendous enthusiasm, or what he believes is strong enthusiasm behind him.
Well, it's also the optics. I mean, it really doesn't have to do with Illinois. You're talking to the Economic Club in Chicago, so he's going to be there with a bunch of suits. He's going to be talking about inflation and the economy, which is a strength for him right now as compared to Harris. Yeah. He wants to be seen in that light, the campaign cast in that light. He's a responsible person talking to the big corporate chieftains in a big metropolitan area, whether it's Chicago or New York. And so it just sort of center cuts him. And obviously every speech that either one of these candidates gives is a national story. It's not confined to the local media. So it's about optics too.
Yeah, of course. That's exactly right. I mean, Trump has leaned into getting as much media coverage as possible, and everything that he does becomes a story. And if he can show a big crowd wherever he is, it's still, it's positive for him.
What about the mechanics? The mechanics this time around, I mean, the mechanics of the anomaly of 2020 was obviously the drop shipping of all of these absentee ballots everywhere. That's not happening again. The Zucker boxes to some extent, some of these Zucker employees in places like Green Bay election departments, but a lot of that stuff is not going to happen again, certainly not on the same scale. And the other thing that's happened from 2016 to 2024 is Republicans have improved the infrastructure they have when it comes to and the messaging they have when it comes to things like early voting and absentee ballot voting and voter registration. You were mentioning how much Florida has changed. If you look at some of the voter registration totals in these battleground states, Republicans have closed the gaps, at least in terms of new voters in some of these states too. So they're just doing a much better job at the unsexy part of national campaigns.
Yeah, the ground game is huge, and sometimes that gets overlooked. There's so much discussion about how much each candidate is spending on TV ads, or how much the PACs and the third-party groups are spending on those candidates' behalf as well. But the number of offices in these swing states, and the people on the ground, getting people to register to vote, getting information out there, that grassroots effort is so critical in these elections. And this is an area where historically Democrats have had an advantage. They build up the ground game. I do think we've seen from the beginning of this election that the Trump campaign has shown more discipline and more attention to that aspect. Harris still does have a cash advantage, and this is one of the things that she's leaning into, and they're spending a lot of money trying to build up that ground game.
Carly Cooperman, Democrat pollster, CEO of Schoen Cooperman Research, and co-author of America, Unite or Die. Carly Cooperman, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Jeffrey Salvetti, Vice President of Blue Star Security and a 15-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. That's bluestarsecurityllc.com.
All right, just did it. Took my Balance of Nature 6 capsules, cracked them open into warm water, and voila. 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. It really is the best. Why do I keep taking it? Well, not getting enough fruits and veggies on my own, and really that's where it comes in. People who take it swear by it, can't live without it. So give it a try if you haven't done it already. The number to call is 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com and be sure to use coupon code Chicago to save an extra 35%.
For anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
From the best-selling author of Wonder and the creators of Jesus Revolution comes Whitebird.
I'm sure your father has told you stories about when I was a young girl.
Hope can lift you.
You stay with us, okay?
Courage can save you.
You're the bravest person I've ever met.
Love can free you.
When kindness can cost you your life, it becomes like a miracle.
From the director of Finding Neverland, Whitebird. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters now. Tickets and showtimes at whitebird.movie.
Hi, it's Scott Tucker, host of Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker, heard on AM 560 on Sundays at 8 a.m. and again at 5 p.m. I want to offer you a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? To get your free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Just go to retirementdakota.com. That's retirementdakota.com. And please listen every Sunday at 8 a.m. and again at 5 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, so she was MIA during the briefing before Hurricane Helene.
Who's she?
Kamala Harris.
Oh.
And Joe Biden didn't skip that one, too, and then it took her 4 days to get back, to D.C. to be in charge. So now I don't know if she's overcompensating or over-inserting herself, but she called into the Weather Channel, Dan, and basically told them how to do their job.
The other point, Mike, that I would make, especially it came through on the briefing from the federal experts, it's really important that we think about the language that we're using to talk about what we are predicting. Because, for example, it has moved from time to time from a Category 5 to a Category 4. It's important that we not emphasize that downgrading has happened because, in fact, the difference between Category 5 and Category 4 in terms of the danger and the damage is pretty much the same.
So just lie to the American people. I mean, that's what their whole administration is. Don't tell them the truth. Keep it from them. And she just admitted that. Oh, I know you're rolling your eyes.
I mean,
but,
she's just
give me
she's
a
just
break.
she's just so
Ugh.
so trying to be relevant.
Oh.
No, Ron DeSantis won't return my call, so I got to call to the Weather Channel. Somebody talk to me. I have something I want to say about the hurricane. Okay, you say what you want to say. Maybe they'll send you one of those little Weather Channel baseball helmets that they all wear.
I participated in the Weather Channel. Can you imagine the producer? Yeah, we have the vice president on line 2.
Yeah.
She really wants. She's jonesing to come on. Do we have time to take her, guys? What do you think?
Caller number 6 gets a Weather Channel tote bag. Kamala Harris, your lucky winner. I mean, she's just so weak. Gosh, is she weak? She does not have the chops to pull this off. I'm not being overconfident. I'm just describing what is. I'm telling you.
And what is will be.
Yes.
It's
of
my
course.
Kamala.
Yeah, right.
All right. And good news about your house. People keep texting in. They want to know.
Yes, thank you very much. I dodged it.
You died. Any water? Just a little bit of water?
A little bit of water. No power right now, but did not take the hammering that I could have, and many other people did. So now we focus on the other people who did, and that's what we're going to do in Southwest Florida, too.
Okay. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's hit that newsroom one more time. Here's Mike Scott.
The latest in the